Uh, Dom, if you can
Good.
start recording, yep, we are recording. So let me call this meeting to order. This is Framing and Conservation Commission public meeting for Wednesday, June 26, 2024, a little past 7. Present with us are Commissioners Kevin, Steve, David S., David A., Jean, and Sam. And with that said, we'll go with the first discussion item on the agenda, which is public comment. Anybody wish to, from the attendees in public, if you have a question, comment, anything else other than the posted agenda items, now is the time. Okay, I do not see anyone raise their hand. Think we can move on to the next item because we do have a loaded agenda, so we'll keep moving. So we have the minutes for May 1st. If everybody has gone through, I did go through it. I didn't have anything except for one quick question on procedural wise. It looks like we adjourned at 10:10, but this says David Sapupo left at 10:40 p.m. Is that true?
I think he left at 9:40, but I can
Yeah,
double
so
check
I
that.
just, that's what I thought. I just, that's the only thing. In fact, that's the only thing that I could find. I mean, everything else read well, and I didn't have any other comments. So that's
Gotta go, you gotta go.
Yep. Yep. No, not 10:40 after the meeting.
Yeah, not 10:40, no.
So that's all I had. If anybody else has anything, just shout out. If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes of 5/1/24.
I'll second.
As amended.
Yes,
As amended.
David S. gets a bonus point. Yes.
See, I can be taught.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Kevin?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
David S?
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
David A?
Abstain.
Sam? Yes. Okay. Is Sarki good to go with an update for Knobscot conservation restriction? I see him here. There he is.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen.
All right. Good to see you, Sarkis.
See you. I don't think I've met David yet. Hi, Kevin. And Jean, how are you? Sarkis.
Very good.
Good.
So I just wanted to give the commission an update tonight. I know that Laura Matei is on the call from SVT.
Yeah.
And I'm not bringing good news to you folks. We've unfortunately had to stop the process regarding the whole preservation of the Knobscot preservation restriction. There were some strict timelines that the Boy Scouts reservation that they needed. There were some time commitments that could not be met. This project involved a conservation restriction, which has to be approved by the Boy Scouts as well as our Conservation Commission and SVT.
Mm-hmm.
We were, obviously the city is very interested in protecting this land. It's 134 acres of land, a lot of history on this property. I actually have an intern that's working for me right now doing a slide deck of the history of the Knobscot preservation. And so we're going to continue, SVT wants to continue working on the negotiations. I've actually made a preliminary application to the Community Preservation Committee. The Community Preservation Committee was going to commit 10% of the conservation restriction cost, which equated to approximately, I think, 300,000, Laura, approximately.
330,000, yeah.
330,000. The project also involved a DCR grant. DCR, the state is actually committing money towards this effort. as well as SVT, and SVT also has to raise, I think, over $1 million.
Correct.
But unfortunately, at this time, we've had to stop. The mayor, this is a goal of the mayor to have this land protected. And, you know, when they approach the city, when I say they, SVT approached the city, I explained to them that we're working on this out of sequence because, as you guys know, the Community Preservation Act already held their public hearings, went through the process, voted recommendations to city council. So we actually kind of went before CPC knowing how important this is. And if we could somehow, I say emergency, but try to get this, you know, over the finish line. So I just wanted to inform you guys that we're not going to give up. We're going to, you know, allow SVT to continue to negotiate with the Knobscott Reservation. But, you know, our partnership with SVT and DCR is critical. DCR just gave the city of Framingham through the Mass Trails Grant Program last Friday, $421,000 for the Bruce Freeman Trail, which is great, which is fantastic. And staff, Rebecca and Dominic, worked hard on the Carol Getchell application. We received $100,000 for the Carol Getchell Trail development. So they see the city of Framingham as a real partner, and they know that we're doing everything we can to hopefully move this project and bring back this important piece of land to protect. So I just want to inform you guys of that tonight. So thank you for your time.
And I just wanted to let folks here know that we definitely are. I mean, the scouts are still very committed to doing this. SVT and DCR are also extremely committed to doing this. It's just that it's as you know how these things go, it's more complicated, and the scouts have not been able to keep pace, and it was complicated to begin with. So now, you know, we're still very optimistic that we're going to make it happen, but it's just very challenging. And because of some of the logistics and the legalities and trying to get documents closed and projects closed, we had to withdraw our application from the city for CPC support. But, you know, we still value the city as a partner, and I'm 99.99% certain we'll be back to you with a CR to review this
Okay.
year.
That's great.
So
That's great.
thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Steve?
Oh, I think Laura answered my question. I was concerned that there was a threat that was driving the BSA's reluctance, but you're saying no.
No, they're just it's complicated, and they are putting in effort. It's just things are taking too long, but we're working with them, and we're determined to make it happen.
Well, I'm sure the Conservation Commission would be happy to support this project
Yeah,
when it comes before the CPC.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else from the commission? Right. Sarkis and Laura, thank you so much. Thank you for the update, and
Yeah.
good
Thank
luck.
you. You're welcome.
Keep
Thanks.
up the good work. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay. Dom, what do? We do have a few minutes. Do you want to, is there something that you want to bring up administratively that we can cover a couple of minutes? I see the next item, 67 Circle Drive, the applicant is here, so
yeah, up to you. I mean, I don't think I can fill 15 minutes, but I have one item
yep, go.
worth discussing. Okay, so as we were just talking about CPC, so let me just share my screen really quick. As I think everyone's aware, the Framingham CPC and the City Council just recently approved funding for the commission's sort of Washaycom Pond alum feasibility study or phosphorus mitigation feasibility study, and sort of not really a contingency, but sort of a strong encouragement from that process and sort of the design of this application was that there would be financial and administrative cooperation between Framingham and Ashland, who share portions of the pond between the two municipalities. So now Ashland is putting in an application to their Community Preservation Committee, and they asked for a letter of support, which, you know, sort of seems whatever. It's an obvious direction to go. And so I was just sort of drafting that up earlier today so I could run through this. I don't think it's complete, but I think a motion from the commission to, you know, in the spirit of the writing here, and I can try to touch it up for their deadline, which is coming up at the end of the month, I think. So I'll just read through it because I know I didn't get this out to you guys in advance. But it goes, in April 2024, the Framingham City Council approved funding recommendations made by Framingham's Community Preservation Committee, including $51,250 for a study to develop an internal phosphorus mitigation strategy at Washaycom Pond. This award was granted in the spirit that the project would be conducted and financed in cooperation with the town of Ashland due to Washaycom's overlap between our communities. Washaycom's longtime phosphorus impairment plagues the water body annually, contributing to overgrowth of nuisance aquatic vegetation, as well as the frequency and intensity of eutrophication events, both of which are not only harmful to the pond's ecology, but also counteract and increase the need for expensive, invasive, and recurring aquatic vegetation management treatments. The objective of this project is to gather data revolving around the origin of the pond's phosphorus loads in order to inform the development of a cost-effective, ecologically sensitive mitigation strategy which could bring the pond long-term relief from the phosphorus impairment. The number of community benefits that arise from water quality improvements are extensive, but as it relates to our municipalities, or as our municipalities' conservation commission's efforts to contribute towards the pond's ecological restoration, this study is likely to prescribe a treatment plan or other strategy which could bring about a crucial shift from reactive to proactive pond management, thereby alleviating the logistical challenges and technical shortcomings of reactive management.
Sounds good. Sounds great.
So maybe a
Sounds
couple.
great.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds
Just add a
great.
period to the end and you're all set.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Why change a thing?
All right. Okay. So
I just have a quick question on that, if I may. Sorry, I
yeah,
didn't.
go ahead. No, go
Yeah,
ahead.
just to understand how this 51K goes along with the funding for the consultant that we have in addition, you know, and could you talk to both of those together and how you see that playing out for the 2024?
Sure. So the currently budgeted nuisance aquatic program is strictly for like the herbicide and algicide treatment of the sort of existing set of 8 or so ponds throughout the town.
Yeah.
This study is sort of like a separate entity, at least for the time being. So it would be a separate consultant, most likely a firm who specializes in this kind of sort of scientific data gathering. They would produce a set of recommendations, and after that point, you know, it's possible that if there is a advisable recommendation that works with timelines and budgets and everything else, it could potentially be a project that we could adapt into our existing pond management budget. It's potentially could be something that our current contractor would be able to perform under a change order or something like that with that contract, but most likely it's going to be a project with a larger scale than our currently budgeted actual management program, but possibly, you know, the funds could be combined or somehow adapted to go towards a
Two
larger
follow-up
effort.
questions. Objectives of between the two studies. If I understand what I just heard in 10 seconds or less, I'll try to explain what I understood. The existing budget is all 8 ponds. This is Washaycom only. Number one, right? Okay. So is it wise for us, and I'm asking the group here, to not spend as much money out of the original, you know, 8 ponds on Washaycom and let them focus on everything else and then let this kind of fund the Washaycom thing and kind of, does that even make sense? Would we think about something like that? Because the objectives seem to be the same, if I'm understanding, you know, one tests, they both test, but I guess there's more objectives in the 51K that we just reviewed versus the standard one. Is that
Right.
right? Kevin?
So the
That's
annual recurring
one.
budget is strictly focusing on like the letter was sort of saying, the reactive management of the vegetative
Of the
growth.
vegetation.
So
Okay.
that study is more about where are the invasive plants occurring, looking at the densities year to year,
Gotcha.
how they're reacting to treatments, herbicides and treatments. Whereas this is focusing strictly on the phosphorus, which has the sort of trickle down effect of benefiting the vegetative growth,
Okay.
but it's separate studies, so it should be considered like business as usual for the annual contract,
The
and
annual
then
contract,
pushing
okay.
forward with this as a sort of separate project for the time being.
And my second point was, if I understood correctly, the current budget is treatment also. This one is not treatment. This one's pure study.
Right. So this first phase of the project is just a study.
Just a
So yeah,
study,
data
okay.
gathering
Right.
at this point, but eventually could result in a recommendation for some form of treatment.
Okay, if we went with the existing guy, because he could do it, our existing contractor, could we save some money maybe on the 51K and allow some treatment out of that? Is that even possible, or that's something we would think of down the road?
No, yeah. So no, the budget is specific. The award that we've been granted is specifically designated towards the study. So
Study,
if we
okay.
have excess, it just goes back to CPC.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. That was great. Appreciate you answering the questions, Don. That
Yeah.
really helped me. Thank you.
Right. Yep. Stephen DiNicola.
Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging me, Stephen DiNicola, 53 Cove Ave. Yeah, Dom, wow. Huh? You're getting really good at this alum thing. I can't believe that letter is, that you say it perfectly. I thank you. I appreciate that. I just wanted to say I'm glad we're moving forward and we're talking to Ashland. But this study is separate, and part of the thing, Mr. Sapupo, is we are trying to leverage the existing treatment that we're having on all the lakes. And in Washakum's case, we're trying to, some of the testing we won't have to do because it's already being done. But these tests aren't necessarily tests. It is more of a data gathering. And we're going to take core samples of the sediment around the lake, and we're going to figure out where the phosphorus is as opposed to where the plants are growing. And one of the benefits of finding out where the phosphorus is that's why the plants are growing as well as they are. And the storm swale at the beach that they have been working on is addressing the phosphorus that is continuing to come into the lake. And these core samples are actually looking for all the phosphorus that has been historically accumulating over the past who knows how many years. All the stuff that's already in the lake, Washakum it's at that level where we need to do something about it, or we're just going to continue treating the plants, which are the result of the thing. So we're going to hire some specialists to come in to do that. And if it works out and they give us a great recommendation and we can use our existing contractor, I think that you're right on target with where we're headed with this whole thing. But it is above and beyond our normal treatments. That's it. I'm really, Tom, I'm really excited. Thank you. I actually talked to Becca Solomon in Ashland several weeks ago. And, I'll kind of tell you the same thing, is if we can somehow encourage them to participate financially at any level for the study, we can work out after that in phase 2, after we do the data collection. But any type of participation on their part might help us go back to CPC and explain we'd like to still move forward. So that's it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Right. Thank you, Stephen. Yep. All right. Anything else? If not, Becca, do you want to? He's gone. Stephen DiNicola, do you want to?
We get an update. What's the status of the lake right now as of today?
Well,
hold on for 1 second, Gene. Don, you had your.
well, first I was just going to say a motion would be appropriate if everyone feels comfortable. But I'd be happy to give an update as well.
Yeah. So, Gene, what was your question again related to?
What's the update? What's the latest on Washakum as of today?
For the regular treatments or?
Yeah, the overall
Closed.
health of the lake.
It was
I
closed.
recall there was something popped up, a couple weeks ago.
Sure. So the herbicide treatment prescribed or planned has been conducted. The results of that are going to be sort of unfolding across the next couple of weeks. It's sort of a slow acting treatment, the chemical that we're allowed to use, but that's anticipated to be successful. And then the pond has been undergoing closures due to E. coli, which is sort of a localized bacterial testing that's performed by Parks and Rec just at the beach area. And so that they've been it's a contaminant level where it's deemed unsafe. So the beach specifically has been closed for recreation. But
Yeah, I think
that,
statewide, it's about 25 or some odd beaches that have been closed because of all the rain that we are getting in from the drains that dump a lot of E. coli laden water. So
And is
So-
there any treatment for that?
it is tough. It is unfortunately tough. And the sources are numerous. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just not one. So yeah, it's a tough one to manage. Just below that is the nutrient management. So
Mm.
the
Aha.
other stuff, yeah, it's been
Yeah,
done.
and
but-
I think that's what this study is going to reveal. This, in my view, I think that's what they're going to look at. This $50,000 is getting allocated is, in part, how do you prevent that? Because if you don't stop that, you're not going to stop the problem.
Yeah, there's one thing again, that is one aspect of it, like, trying to see where the sources of inputs are and then kind of manage that. But also what Stephen DiNicole was getting at is how much of it is in the sediment that's actually getting stirred up in resuspended. That's another big factor too. So there's it, again, that's part of the study and see where what's the outcome. So I think Stephen DiNicole was first and then David Sapupo. David S., do you want to go first and then Stephen?
Yeah, real quickly, I just wanted to ask, did we say Washacum is closed to the public?
Just the beach.
Just the beach is
Yeah.
closed.
They
Okay.
do the E. coli testing for the beach, so the beach.
So you can still use boats?
Yeah,
like canoes and all
non-contact, I think you can, yes.
Okay, and then will we see a report at some point, an initial report from our consultant on our annual thing at some point in the future?
Yeah, Dom.
sure. So you can find field notes, which are sort of like updates for any action taken. So treatments, just mid-season surveys, anything like that. Our consultant or contractor provides immediately after their visits to town for whatever reason. Those are on the conservation website under the nuisance aquatic vegetation management sub page, which I can definitely blast out to everyone. But if you Google Framingham Conservation, it's easy to find.
Okay,
And yeah, you can see updates there.
perfect, thank you.
Yep, real quick, Stephen DiNicola.
Yeah, no, I live on Washacum. Dom, I should have given you an update. The treatment is actually happening just like it did last year. We're 1 week out and all the lily pads are wilting. All the grasses have started to, die off. It is slow, but it's noticeable just like last year. So it is actually having an effect. As far as the lake and its usability, we're using it. We're loving it. We went tubing the other day. People are out there fishing. 4th of July weekend should be wonderful. As far as the E. coli at the beach has several storm drains that enter that cove area where the beach is located. So they have a lot of problem with E. coli, and E. coli is specific to fecal matter and the digestive system of animals. And
Yep.
that's how that shows up. And there's not much you can do about it once it's there, other
Yep.
than continuously test and wait for it to dissipate.
Yep.
But the last 3 weeks of testing, the beach was closed. Just the beach was closed 2 weeks ago, and the tests have been coming down each week. And this particular week, they just tested yesterday, and the tests did come back below the amount, whatever they call it, with the threshold. It was below the threshold for closure, but what they do is they add up the last 3 tests and they average it out. And if the
Mhm.
average isn't below a general mean, I believe is the term, then they keep it closed. So they're actually going to test again tomorrow.
Yep.
And they'll see if it comes back. And if it does come back and they can average that general mean below the threshold, they're
Yep.
gonna they'll open it right back up.
First of July. That's great. Well, good
Okay.
luck. Good
All
luck.
right.
with it.
Thank you, and I think we gotta move on, but before
Yeah.
that, Dom requested us to take a vote on doing the, what do you call, Dom?
Letter of
I'd be glad
support.
to make a
Letter
motion
of
to
support.
accept the
Yep.
letter as written.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Okay.
Dom. I didn't mean to.
No, no, that's fine. Yep, we have
Yeah.
a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Kevin? Yep, that was a yes. Steve?
Yes,
David S.
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
David A.
Yes.
Sam, yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Dom.
Good job, Dom.
Yep. All right. Let's go to, and Dom, you thought you couldn't fill the 15 minutes.
Oh, look at that.
Right on time. Right.
Right on time.
Yeah. So next, let's go to the next item on the agenda, discussion enforcement order 67 Circle Drive. Yep, the applicant or the representative is here. Selma, please unmute, introduce yourself for the record, and I think Dom can give us a background to get us up to where we are.
Hi, my name is Salma. I live here in 67 Circle Drive.
Sure. So I guess the background is the commission issued an enforcement order to this property and for some unpermitted work associated with installation of fill, construction of a patio, in riverfront area bordering land subject to flooding. And the first sort of deadline associated with that order has passed, which was I think the 3rd of this month. The intent or the objective by that deadline was to have the property owner demonstrate that they've secured a consultant who could perform the required analysis to move forward with the restoration plan.
Yeah.
And Salma has expressed that they've been having some challenges in finding a consultant, so we brought it back for the commission's discussion. I'm sure Salma has some to add.
Yeah, go ahead, Selma. Yep.
Yeah, so I've looked for a few, well, several, and they were all more than 4,000, around 7,000. And I was calculating about how much it would be more than that to do the work that they recommend. Taking a guess of what they would recommend would be a few thousand more. Like in the beginning, we didn't even know that this would have been such a big issue when we bought the house. So we wanted to ask if there was a way that we could, help make the area more, what's the word? Like for the vegetation, work, because last time a few guys came over, they did talk about the 50 feet zone, and they checked that retaining wall of 2 feet that we had made, and it's right at the 50 mark. And apart from that, there's also a concern for us that we would like to put a fence, because about 2 weeks ago there was a shooter in the woods, and my husband was outside in the backyard, and it was very close to get hit. We had to call the police. The police came, and they found a bullet that had hit the house. So just I know it doesn't have to do with the enforcement order
No,
to do like a fence or something, because we also have kids too.
Yep.
And we haven't touched the backyard because we've been told, you know, from the letter to leave it as it is for now. So it's just something that we're asking. I try to get the report, but I guess it takes a few days, and I asked for it 2 days ago.
that's fine. That's fine. Again, as I think Dom, help me out here. One of the things was to secure the consultant and then come up with a notice of intent after the fact,
Restoration plan.
just a restoration plan. Again, apart from our buffer zones, the 30, 50, wasn't there BLSF?
The entire property is within bordering land subject to flooding and riverfront area.
Some of that's probably our biggest concern. So that I know that area is prone to flooding, based on Sudbury. So that is the big concern. So without doing some kind of survey, the consultants can't, like, establish what was, like, brought in and how much to remove and what to set and all that stuff. So that's why I think the prices are what they are, unfortunately. So as far as mitigation, that's fine, but I think the lost flood storage, we need to have it restored. So we could, as a commission, we could do, like, give you an extension to see if we can get a more reasonable quote, more focused on the flood mitigation part. That would be my suggestion, but let me go to the commission and see. Yes, Steve.
So having visited the site with Kevin and staff, it seems like one immediate thing that could be done voluntarily by the owners is to remove a lot of the material that's being stored on the edge of the shoreline within the flood zone, separate from the restoration, but there's been a lot of disposal of brush and other things back there, and clearing that out would be helpful. I think it's not a solution to the restoration problem, but it certainly helps with the whole question of things being swept away into the river during flooding. That would be a suggestion that we could make to them. The other question I have is, how do we do, it's a question because I'm not familiar with the answers. How do we define restoration? Restoration to what? In other words, what's the baseline? That area has been significantly changed over time to get to the point where there are houses built there.
No, I think it's when we, I think we're talking about restoration is with what has been brought in place in terms of the fill, for instance, and any other earth disturbances, removal of trees. I don't know. Again, I'm just saying. So I see what you're saying, Steve. But I think it is more of the most recent, what was brought in, what was altered most recently. So I think usually the consultant would, like, auger down and kind of see what's, like, establish, and, like, yep, it was at this depth probably, so you need to come down, remove it and whatnot. So all right, if you're good, Steve, Kevin.
Well, I get, is there a mechanism where we could ask them to do something immediately that was within their power to do?
I mean,
like clean the riverbank?
I mean, that is part of the enforcement, could be part of the modified enforcement order or updated enforcement order.
Okay, that was my question.
We didn't do that before because
No.
we thought it would be all, like, coming in as restoration plan, but I think, if that is what, one of the suggestions, so, but still the big picture right now is that we need to address is, the deadline's passed. They need a consultant. And we need restoration plan. So there's set dates. And we need to think about that first.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Kevin?
So I did visit the site also, and we did measure off to the patio for the 50-foot no build zone. And I think maybe that the SAMA that from the site visit made it seem like, okay, we might be okay here, but we didn't have that information that Sam mentioned, that the whole area, the whole neighborhood is in flood zone, and about a good amount of your backyard is in actually the floodway where the power of the stream goes through. But I was looking at the aerials from on Mass Mapper from 2021. And in the backyard, there was an above ground pool, and there was a shed that looks like it was at the end of the driveway that's been removed. And that's where an engineer might be able to show that by surveying, hey, these areas were already filled within the floodway, and count that off some of the flood compensation. But I do think that area of the patio that has the wall, it's up a couple of feet, and that's all flood in the floodplain. And I don't see an opportunity to compensate on the property because it's all in floodplain.
Yeah.
You can compensate for flood storage in floodplain, but you need to do it at the same elevation.
Yep.
So I'm just wondering, is there a way for the commission for maybe, and I don't know how the commission works on this, Becca or Dom, to assist the applicants in looking at the site and making some judgments, because on just removing the patio and the materials and bringing it back to a reasonable grade and fixing the riverbank so they don't have to hire a consultant, and that 4,000 can go towards restoration.
I hear you, and I was thinking about it, but I don't know how Dom and Becca feel about it. That's and they have, I'm pretty sure in the background they have assisted provided assistance to the applicant all along. But there's something that I don't know if the commission would like to request them. I don't know if they're open to it.
I'd encourage everyone to consider the precedent that would set, but
yeah, that's the other thing too.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, any dollars that are spent, I would say, like, have it spent towards actually restoring the lost flood storage. So that's the goal, and I'd be more than happy to get out there and help out. But again, I'm not going to be able to survey or anything, but we can, again, our primary goal is to restore the lost flood storage, and but what we can, so the deadlines, what about the deadlines, and what about the next action?
I'd like to comment on that when you're ready.
Yep, go ahead.
Gene's first.
Okay, Gene. Yep.
Oh, thank you, David. So a couple things. My comments are, the $4,000, I know that's a lot of money. But if you take a step back and think about what engineering and surveying cost, in my estimation, that's actually quite reasonable. And I don't think you'll ever get a cost less than that with the way I see construction and these types of things today. Having said that, I'm like Kevin, I'm open-minded to saying, maybe we can, rather than spending money on the engineering, are there more practical ways to get restoration mitigation? I'm open to that with one caveat. We have to be consistent. We cannot be inconsistent in how we do this. We're opening ourselves up to huge liability, and I'm not willing to do that unless it's a policy, and I'm not sure how we get from here to there.
Okay.
All right, yep, well, I have a suggestion. All right, David S.
Yeah, okay. Precedence is real important here. I totally agree with Steve and the rest of the team, rest of the Concom on that. And I feel that we have to have a balanced approach. If we want to assist, we can forego possible penalties and whatnot, cost to them. I do believe that it is the responsibility of the homeowner to come up with some agreeable plan on, I think, patio modification to improve flood storage. I think they have to come up with some sort of a replacement of plants. I agree with Steve, remove those materials at the edge. I think there's 3, 4 major actions that they should be doing to help. We're talking thousands of square feet of area here that was taken away. If I remember, it's over 5,000, 7,000 square feet. So it's not just 500 square feet that we're talking about. We're not talking about a patch of land.
Yep.
We're talking about a very large area. And unfortunately to the family, we all have pressures with, living life, but we have some responsibility to the wetlands that we gotta
Okay.
meet halfway here. And I really strongly believe we need to meet them halfway. I do feel, Sam, that I'll leave it up to your good judgment and everybody else's as to what, support we can provide them with guidance. But I mean, the 3 things I mentioned, I don't think are hard for them to talk to someone and get some hourly rate out of a consultant to help them with the 3 things. If those are the 3 things, those are just examples. If we say we would like you to address the following with a consultant, and
That's what-
they come back with something, and you spend the money, like you said, mostly on remediation activities, both on their own labor and then whatever they got to purchase for plants or whatever, they just have to do something. Meet us halfway.
So Dom, in the enforcement order, do we detail the scope? Some
Right,
of the
look,
items.
I can
mean,
I can share it again.
Yeah, so
So we look at the scope and maybe we modify it. Is that where you're going, Sam?
that is one option. With giving some additional time to have them approach a consultant with the
exactly.
modified scope and see if they
Mhm.
can get a little better pricing. But
Exactly.
ultimately, Selma, as we are kind of indicating, it'll be on, unfortunately, the expensive side than, like, yeah, it's going to be tough with the survey and stuff. I mean, it'll be up in the 4,000 plus range,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So we can definitely get you some more time, and we can get you, I don't know.
And if we see progress, I'm sorry, Sam, I don't mean to cut you off, but like, I'm not interested in penalties, right? Being enforced on a family that's really trying to
I would,
cooperate with us,
I
right?
would. I mean, I mean, they're co-op. They're looking. They're working with us.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Yeah,
again.
penalties are for those
No.
that are ignoring us.
Ignore,
When we're
yeah.
being ignored, they get penalties. That
Yeah.
has to be the precedence. But if you're not ignoring us and you're working with us and you're showing up at the meetings,
Yeah, we're not
no,
going.
no penalties, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. So if would it be okay for them to have approach a consultant that kind of focuses more on loss flood storage?
Now, if we could give them a referral, I don't think there's risk in that. Do you, Gene?
No, I think Dom and Becca have already probably
Shared some names? Okay.
shades. I don't think shared some names. I think they did approach other consultants, try to see, like, if they have any suggestions.
Yeah, and maybe they can give them a reasonable rate, I mean, I don't know.
Again,
Well, I think
wish
the
I
thing
knew
is to
somebody.
de-scope it.
David, yeah.
I think if you de-scope it and focus on flood storage, they'll get a better price. And I think if you move out the date, to the end of August, because maybe people are a little busy now and they really are going to give them a high price because they have
Okay.
enough work in the summer.
It's great. Yeah.
I think the end of August or even mid-September for the consultant. But what I would like to see is them to be able to catch the last part of the growing season. So I'm not saying, you know, make it a 2025 thing, but maybe we should, you know, have it restored by October 15th or something.
Okay, Dom, you had your hand up? Nope, okay. Kevin?
I just wanted to, I do, unfortunately, it costs money to hire an engineer, and I do think it's a reasonable price, unfortunately. But survey firms right now, when I'm contracting with them, they're 3 months out. So it's for a smaller project, maybe it's surprising how far out they are. So we just have to consider that when we're scoping this. If you know.
No, I
Is
mean,
a survey required, Sam?
I would say, how else would you, I mean, we're talking about down to a foot or two, so
Okay,
without that, it's gonna be, it might be tough, so.
okay.
Again, I'm not saying, again, the consultant, whatever means and methods, they can come up with, but I'm envisioning, because it's strictly related to elevations, I mean, you do need to get some, survey.
Some survey, okay.
Again, all right, so, states modified, enforcement order,
We give them 2 dates, Sam? Maybe a date for a consultant and a date to finish the job like Dave.
we did,
Anderson?
that's what we have. Dom, if you can just,
Okay,
bring those two up and we can, just move those and take a vote, and, we need to keep going. We got plenty of agenda items.
yeah.
So we had June 3rd, for securing a consultant, and then restoration plan. Oh, not for the work, that is a restoration plan for August 7th.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we do 3 dates. We move the June and August one, like you suggest, and have a drop dead, get it all done by October date, and give them a chance to get some funding together and,
I,
you know.
I would still hold, again, this is a suggestion, I would still move these 2 dates. We said end of August for, the consultant, and,
Mhm,
maybe end of September for a plan. Again,
mhm.
it all depends on the availability of the consultants, so. I don't know, putting a date, of October 15th for completion work is realistic.
You're not sure it's realistic? Okay.
Yeah, we had 2 dates, we'll amend these 2 dates and, take a vote
Okay.
on it. Steve?
Well, the applicant wants to talk. Should we-
Sorry, all right, Selma.
I had a question for the restoration plan once we get it. Do they have to come and talk in the meeting? Because that alone is $750 that they were telling me. It
I-
costs for them to speak at the
I'm
meeting.
pretty sure. I'm not
Right.
signing you up, Dom or Becca, but I think we can
Or
work.
is it like something like I can probably send through email and then you guys can show it on the screen like you are now?
Is that
Or does
okay,
it have
Dom
to
and
be
Becca?
explained?
We can, like, you once she
Figure it
begins-
out.
Yeah, I mean, if we can take a stab at the commission reviewing it, if the commissioners think they need more technical analysis, then make the call, but
Yeah,
Yeah, we can, we'll definitely work with you, Selma, on that.
yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's okay. We cannot require the consultant be here, to
Okay.
go through that, so, if that helps, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Okay, all
One
right,
more, Sam?
yes,
Yeah, so I wonder if we could also add, asking them to make a good faith effort to remove the debris that's in the do not disturb zone.
Yes.
okay, that's gonna be an add-on to this. Dom. Yeah. And date certain, or,
Yeah, I think it should be date certain. I'd say within 30 days. I think that's fair.
Mhm.
Does that seem reasonable, Selma?
Yeah, I'm just worried if we remove it, if the water grows a little bit, it's already gonna be in the backyard because the neighbors have it, like we're kind of mimic that part with the neighbors. I feel it just, yeah, I mean, we could definitely do that. I just feel the water will just come right in.
Well, yeah, that none of this is going to stop the water from coming in. It's a
Yeah,
flood
I mean,
zone.
yeah, the water's pretty low.
Yep, okay, we'll stick with this, and we said for the consultant, end of August 30th.
Sounds good.
Okay,
That sounds good. So that would be on the suitable consultant. June goes to August. Is that right, Sam?
yes.
Sorry, I think I lost connection there for a second. What was that date?
I think
30th.
either August 30th or 31st. I don't know what days.
Okay.
So, and then September, end of September, September 30th.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sam, I just have one comment.
Yep, good.
I think I'm a little worried about instructing any action without a very deliberate or clear scope of work. I think debris certainly isn't specific enough.
Yeah,
If it was a matter of, conducting another site visit to specifically identify items and a sort of miniature scope, I think that's, doable, but
I agree. I agree. And let's if you want to word it as remove debris based on a site visit.
Yeah.
That way they know exactly what needs to be removed. I agree.
I
Yeah,
agree too.
I
Because
agree
I'm a
too.
little worried if we remove,
Okay, all right, Steve.
water will come in.
All right,
I'm good with that.
okay. All right, if we are good with all of these, I would entertain a motion to I guess
Amend,
yeah, I mean
The enforcement action, right?
amend the enforcement order
Yep.
as discussed.
Okay, that's a motion.
I
Yes.
second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Steve,
Yes,
Kevin,
Yes.
David S,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
David A,
Yes.
Sam, yes. Thank you, Selma.
Thank you,
Uh,
Selma.
Thank you.
I think we can call the office, Dom and Becca will set up a site visit. All right, thank you. The
Thank
next
you.
item on the agenda is a discussion, enforcement order 35 Hiram Road. Anybody here for that? All right, I think it's gonna be just okay, I think I see someone. Okay, I think it's Will. Dom.
Yeah, I invited him in.
All right, you can unmute and introduce yourself for the record.
Hi, this is William Evans. I'm the trustee, one of the trustees of the trust that owns the home at 35 Hiram Road.
Okay, yeah, so I think we do have the enforcement order that stipulated the date. I think we are next discussion on this one would have been July 10th. Right, Dom? What the
June
first?
26th, actually, today.
No, I think that the submission date was June 26th for the hearing on July. Am I mixing it?
Yeah, I think the submission date was today, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
so yeah, Dom, do you want to bring us up to like, where we left off? Either Becca or Dom, doesn't matter.
I can brief.
Yeah, good,
Got it.
Becca. Yeah,
Yeah, so at the last meeting, the commission asked us to do a little research to find out about kind of protecting the interests here. And it was determined that the commission doesn't have the authority to necessarily demand any type of information about a real estate transaction or any type of bonding of funds to complete the work. So until the property switches hands, they should be held responsible to the dates that were in the existing EO, and then in case of new property owners, then it can be reissued to them.
So the question now is, they came in front of us, or the attorney came in front of us and requested some changes, proposed changes. But I think we kind of said we are holding those dates. So I think we can have, at this point, looking at our agenda, I think it's best to like, you've given the commission an update on what we had asked for at the last meeting. So we'll leave the dates as is, and we'll take it up on the July 10th. At which point I think the applicant can be there, and we'll I'm guessing that there was no submission today. No, so we'll have to discuss that at the next meeting. Yes, Steve.
I'm confused about what we're talking about doing here. So there's,
So
what are we going to have to talk about on July 10th that we don't have now?
because then we have to review, or if there was a submission based on the deadline, which was today, we could have taken that up and reviewed it, or taken up, but we don't have any at this point. Again, that's so the reason we're having this item on the discussion is to follow up on our request to Dom and Becca. We were going to take some action last
What
week.
authority? Yeah.
So we wanted to make ourselves clear on the do's and don'ts. So one of the things that was requested of us was to postpone into August, if I remember right. So
do we have the authority to define, to penalize the property owners for not meeting this deadline?
yeah, and that's where July 10th comes in play.
Why? That's where you're losing me, Sam. Because they're not in compliance today.
But again, our intent for getting this item in front of the commission was to get us on the staff's research on the advice, do's and don'ts, like I said, not to discuss the details of the enforcement order.
The applicant wants to speak, Sam. I'm not sure if you see.
Yeah.
Let's have our discussion, and then we'll bring him in.
Okay.
Dom and Becca, is that the understanding, or do you think we should go ahead and do a discussion? I don't think.
Yeah, probably not, because if it wasn't on the agenda for this purpose, the commission wouldn't have necessarily known there was no submission.
I see.
So the purpose of again, we
Yeah.
asked we requested the staff for specific information. They gave us an update, and that's.
Well, yeah, let me just make one comment, because I think this is important for everybody.
Yeah.
So the previous person asked for an extension, and, we work with them. The last meeting, Mr. Stevens, I think he was an attorney, he asked for some type of extension. And my understanding was we were gonna look to legal counsel to get guidance on that. So how is this any different from the previous item we just had?
Well, for me, it's different because the current property owner would not own the property, given what we were told about the sale situation at the time the extension was being asked for. That was our concern.
Understood.
That's the difference.
Yeah. Right, I understand. Okay, I remember that part of it, and like I say, that's part of life. That's how things roll out. And, I'm not sure that we need, I don't know, I have reservations on how we're treating both cases, because we have to be consistent.
Well, I'm just saying that there's no point in doing it.
Okay, if we can't talk about the previous case, but let's bring that in to clarify it. The previous case, the applicant was to secure a consultant June 3rd to be able to come in front of us on the next hearing. Right? In this case, he was, the applicant was supposed to get us, I don't know what the date was, but June 26th was the submission date to hear the applicant on July 10th. So that's where the clarification is. So the reason this item is on the agenda is just to give an update on our staff talking with the city solicitor and giving us an update.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Can we hear from the?
Yeah, I was going. If we're done, then let's bring Mr. Evans.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah,
Good.
thank you. Yeah, I apologize. I wasn't able to be at the last meeting, but Attorney Stevens, if you recall, the reason for the extension really doesn't have anything to do with the sale of the house. We've had a very hard time securing and booking a surveyor. As Kevin Walsh mentioned not even 10 minutes ago, the wait is can be upwards of 3 months for surveyors right now. We have a surveyor on retainer, Northeast Survey Consultants, who is able to conduct the survey at the end of July, and that's the absolute earliest. And that was with some arm twisting to get them in here as soon as possible. And so I just want to go on the record that, you know, we have been doing everything we can, and I have email strings that I can provide over the last, month and a half, working very diligently to secure a surveyor, and it's just really hard right now. So that is the reason for the extension. The sale of the home really doesn't have anything to do with it.
No, understood, perfectly understood. But at the same time, we were told about the sale, and we wanted to double check. So again, like I was telling the commission, you were not supposed to be on the agenda today, but it was just to provide some clarification or guidance to the commission. But you are going to be on the agenda on July 10th, so we can take this up on July 10th is what my feeling is, especially given the agenda items that we have today. So yes, Kevin.
I just want to clarify my statement. I work on big highway bridge projects. So the surveyors that I use are big companies that do very specific types. So it might not, I shouldn't have said that way. I think smaller firms, there's more of them out there that could do it, but they can't do the work that I need.
Yeah. No.
But there is across the industry a crunch right now.
Yep, that's understood. But again, we can have this discussion and the dates, and again, Mr. Evans can make a request, and we can again, barring like anything else, this wouldn't have been on the agenda. But wanted to have staff give us an update, which they did. So that's
I understand.
okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Evans. We'll see you on the 10th.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go to the next item on the agenda. It's a request for COC, DEP file number 158-1569, 747 Water Street. If the applicant is here. Tom?
Raise your hand if you're here. I don't think they are, but they don't need to be.
They don't need to be.
technically.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Do you want to just give us a brief, you or Becca?
Sure. So this was a buffer zone notice of intent project. Most of the or all of the work within jurisdictional areas consisted of regrading and sort of reconfiguring a stormwater basin associated with an out of jurisdiction parking lot expansion. So essentially expanding the size of it to increase the capacity.
Mhm.
And there was one tree removed, which was replaced with 3 new trees as part of the landscaping effort. Those trees were planted 2 growing seasons ago and appeared healthy and established. So all the documentation's been submitted, and a site visit evidenced that it appeared to be constructed as designed.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the commission?
No questions, but I'm willing to enter a motion when you're ready, Sam.
Yep. I think everybody's ready for your motion, Dave.
Ready for my motion?
Yes.
I make a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance for this project at 747 Water Street.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Steve will second.
Okay, we
We'll all second.
Yes.
we have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Steve,
Yes.
David S,
Yes.
David A,
Yes.
Gene,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Sam, yes. Okay. All right. That's it for the discussion items. Next, moving on to the schedule agenda items. First one is an RDA 47 Lay Street. Carol Espig, proposed removal of 2 trees and mitigation plantings. Is she here? Yep. Okay. Please unmute and introduce yourself and give us a brief description of your proposed project.
Good evening. My name's Carol Espig. I live at 47 Lee.
Yep.
I have 2 trees that I am applying to remove. For the past couple of years, they have been dropping branches, and I've had concern that they may fall on my house or in my yard. This year, I found out I needed to replace my roof, and in doing so, I decided to go with a metal roof and also look into solar. And I thought that this would be a good time to remove those 2 trees. So the tree removal company came and said I needed to apply for a permit, and
Okay.
that's what I did.
Okay. And did they give you any kind of certificate to assess the health of the trees?
I have a letter from both the tree removal company and a certified arborist.
Okay. All right. Okay. With that said, I'll go to the commission.
I'll start. I read the letter from the certified arborist, and if you go by the letter, clearly, you know, he's recommending that the risk is high, and he talks about in multiple areas the poor health of the trees. So, you know, I think we need to consider seriously the recommendation of the arborist about removing the 2 trees.
All
I'm
right.
just not sure about the rest of the plan though, and how we handle that.
Which is, David?
I don't know if there's a mitigation thing. Do we worry about that, or you know, where
Yeah.
are you guys on that? You know, if
Yeah,
you remove
we
2 major
usually have
trees.
2-to-1 mitigation.
Right,
that we
so
propose, so.
that's the only question I have, but I don't disagree with the homeowner regarding what the
Oh,
arborist
here-
said if you go by the letter.
So, Carol, could you speak to the mitigation plantings you're proposing?
Yeah, I had proposed that I would plant 2 eastern redbud trees along the barrier with where the lawn ends.
Okay.
And I didn't realize that I it was a requirement. Dominic advised that sometimes more than 1 per tree was needed.
Yeah.
But the yard isn't all that large, so I want the trees that I'm planting to thrive. I don't want to crowd them out. So that's why I proposed 2.
Yep. All right. Dom or Becca, if you have any input based on the site visit? No. Okay. Anyone else? I mean, we typically require 2-to-1, but I see what Carol's saying.
Me too. Yeah, I'm with you, Sam.
The trees would be crowded, I think. Is it eastern redbud the type of tree we would ask for, or? I mean,
I don't think so.
it is
but-
my favorite tree.
There you go. Well,
All right, is that a biased opinion here now we're
That
getting?
is fine.
I'll leave that up to you all. I'll go with.
How about one redbud and one dogwood?
Hey, I
The
like-
dogwood
like-
being my favorite tree.
Yeah.
I like blue spruces. It's gonna be a problem here.
Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. All right.
Take it
Carol,
easy,
you see what
bud.
you started?
Yeah.
He goes,
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm good with it too.
Okay, and in my application, I put down because what I read, those trees need to be planted in the spring. They would not be planted until next year, next spring.
Okay, are we
Okay.
on board with that, Commission? Okay,
I think
Alright.
so. I mean, whatever's appropriate.
I'm surprised they would be planted in the spring.
Yeah. Why, Carol, in the spring again? What's
Well, I mentioned it, those were the trees that I wanted to plant, and a friend of mine said, will you be able to wait until the spring when they're supposed to be planted? And then I Googled it, and that's what it said as well. So I'm not,
Carol, yeah, you did your homework, so if that's the recommendation, is it possible? I don't know if you could send that to us. It's interesting to know. I'm trying to learn about this stuff myself.
yeah.
Sam,
Yeah.
can we specify the size of trees?
yeah, the Commission can, yeah. So let's begin with Carol and see what she has found through her research. What is the size that needs to be planted?
so I'm sorry, what you're asking me to provide that right now or at another time?
Did you come across what's the best size, minimum size that you could
For planting
plant? Yeah.
the tree.
I was given a list of trees that were acceptable.
Right, but what Steve is asking for is what size, do you know the size?
Yeah,
Of
for
these
instance,
trees,
Yeah, of the trees that you're going to plant.
30, up to 30 feet.
no, not the,
Oh.
not the,
No, you're not gonna
Oh,
plant them.
when I buy them, how big
Yes,
will
yeah,
they be?
Yeah,
yes.
I
Are they
don't know.
gonna
I'm
be-
gonna go to a nursery and see what they have.
Becca, do you
I-
have any recommendation? Yeah, Steve.
I would say at a minimum, it should be a 6-foot tree.
Okay,
But we do have the city's foremost expert on trees here.
Don't put her on spot.
Put her on the spot there, Steve.
I mean,
All
yeah,
right.
I guess it really depends if you are gonna plant them in the spring or the fall, and then 6 feet might be a little big. I might suggest something a little smaller, maybe 4 to 5 feet, like a 1.5 inch to 2 inch caliber, just because it's not a large tree to begin with.
Mm,
There you go.
there you go.
There you go. The expert.
okay.
Is that good, Carol?
Yeah, I'm making notes.
Perfect.
And we might also want to give like a recommended range because, who knows what they have in stock? And, if we start specifying the size and they can't get them, well, where's that leave people? And if you're doing more than 1 or 2 trees, then maybe you want them at different sizes. So just something to think about as we're going forward.
No, I think like Rebecca said, 4 to 5
Yeah.
feet with did you say 1.5 to 2?
Yeah, that's usually average. And I mean, Carol, wherever you purchase the trees from, nursery people are usually pretty helpful. And we can send you some planting instructions that DCR provides that are pretty comprehensive and I think a good resource.
Okay. Yeah, I'm guessing that I'd have to dig a hole that's
Yeah, so we have kind
wide,
of, yeah,
very
exactly.
wide.
I can connect you with that information offline.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
All right, if we're good with this, I think I entertain a motion.
Yeah.
All right, so what was this? This is
This
an
is
RDA.
Yep.
This is an RDA, so is this a -3?
I think so.
With the condition.
Please, yeah, but Dom gave a thumbs up. Yeah, okay, go ahead. It's a -3.
A negative
Can I
3 would
ask
be-
what a -3 is?
It's the best news you could have, Carol.
Right. It's a good thing.
Okay.
It's a positive thing.
No, yeah, but you don't want it positive because then you become
No,
back
it's not
big
positive. It's-
application.
yeah.
No, this means that you don't have to file with us with the notice of intent. So
Okay.
you're good to go, is what it is.
Well, thank you. I tried to make the application complete.
Yes, you did. Yep.
You did.
Yep. All right. So did
I-
somebody
I-
make a motion?
I think we, just so we clear, a -3 with a condition to use best efforts to try to get a size of tree that
Yeah.
is recommended per what Becca said.
Yep.
That's all. I think that's the motion, right? And RDA's, -3 RDA approval with the condition to get the recommended size.
Yep.
Is
That's
making a motion.
Steve's motion or
I'm
No,
sorry.
no, I'd like to give that motion to Dave.
okay. Yep.
Oh,
Dave, you
thanks,
got it.
Steve.
Motion second. Anybody seconding?
I'll second.
Okay, we have motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Steve,
Yes.
David S.,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes, and thank you,
Kevin?
Carol.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you,
Kevin.
Carol.
David A.,
yes.
Sam, yes. Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night, Carol.
Sorry.
You as well. Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is an RDA 151 Central Street. Edwin Clark proposed removal of 3 trees, construction of a 16 by 24 addition and mitigation plantings. Is Edwin here?
If you are here for this project in the audience, please raise your hand. Here we oh, I see you, Ron.
Okay.
And Sam, if you don't mind, just one comment I want to make. So I was sort of assisting this applicant, creating this application. At the time we were initially creating it, sort of judging off an estimated riverfront area line, which, based on just the online data layers, it sort of initially appeared there was only 2 trees within jurisdiction. Further analysis sort of indicated that it's more likely that 3 of the 4 trees that are proposed to be removed are within jurisdiction. So the initial sort of mitigation ratio was determined at 2-to-1 for the 4 white pines, and just a little bit of information, but I think Ron is representing here.
Okay, yep, go ahead, Ron, unmute and
Hi, Ron Chick, Central Street. Edwin Clark is my next door neighbor. He currently is ill, and I spoke with him about 2 hours ago and said that I can assist him.
thank you.
And if there are any questions, I would try to answer. The trees in question are pretty tall pine trees that are, talk about dropping limbs. They're dropping significant limbs. So outside of everything else, they're also a danger to the yard and to the property. But he wants to remove the trees so that he can put on an addition. He's no longer mobile easily to get upstairs, and so that they want to be able to maintain their homestead and put on the addition so that they could live on the first floor.
Okay. Yep, that's the reason for the, yeah, okay. So the tree removal is proposed just for enabling this addition.
Yes.
Okay, anything else, Dom?
No.
Okay, so the 3, instead of the 2 that he was thinking, there will be 3, so mitigation plantings will be 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should have room.
Okay. All right, Steve?
I was wondering why the owner is electing to replace the trees with white pines.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can talk to him about that.
that seems like a less than optimal choice.
I agree. Yes.
Wait. Why is that?
Well, it blocks the view of the river.
Well, I'll say just from our day-to-day business, just as a sort of point of reference, we see a lot of pine trees with hazardous letters from arborists and whatnot coming down all over the city. So, a new pine tree once in a while isn't hurting anyone from a, diversity perspective.
Oh, that's interesting observation, Dom.
Yeah.
Well, I think a mix of pine and deciduous is also pretty good.
Well, my point was primarily that he would have the choice. He wouldn't have to replace them in kind with white pines.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Okay. So the number of mitigation plantings is 6. Is that okay, Ron?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else from the commission?
I don't think so. I don't have anything.
Are we going to specify the size of the tree?
Yeah, I mean, again, Becca, the same recommendation.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's a good rule of thumb. Is he gonna plant 6 eastern white pines, or Ron, do you think he's going to switch and maybe plant a variety? I mean, it all depends.
He has oaks and maples in the yard as they exist. I think it's going to can be dependent upon, as Steve was talking about, is losing an existing view of the river and where he could put them. So flexibility would be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, we could maybe condition it that, he review the planting plan with us beforehand.
That's a
Yep.
good idea.
Yep. Okay.
Awesome. Brilliant. Brilliant.
So 6 trees and, can be discussed closer to project completion.
Yes.
Okay. All right. In that case, if we don't have any further discussion, Kevin?
I just wondered, it looks like the additions within the riverfront area.
Yes.
So is there going to be a separate filing for the addition?
Nope, this is, Dom, do you want to speak to that, about the exemption?
Sure. So the intent at staff's suggestion was to go with an RDA for this project just due to the extremely minimal encroachments into the riverfront area associated with the project. As you could see from the application, there wasn't a precise drawing or buffer zone calculation performed, but it appears to be in the range of 100 to 200 square feet, probably less than 150, if that. And there is a sort of riverfront area exemption for some activities greater than 50 feet from the edge of the river. Additions aren't explicitly named, but similar types of activities, or in terms of their total square footage, things like decks, patios, sheds, accessory structures to single family homes are specifically exempted from riverfront area regulations. So, from the minimal impact perspective, it's something to consider.
And another factor is that the property is located well above the river level.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
All right, entertain a motion. Dom, did you have anything? No. Okay.
One other thing I wanted to
go ahead.
mention is the RDA did express intent to infiltrate the runoff of the new addition into the ground with a dry well.
Oh,
as
that's
well.
great. Yeah, that's why, Yep, that was one of the reasons I said, yep, okay.
So is this outside the protection area, Sam, in your opinion? This based on what I'm hearing, it's kind of falls outside of any necessary.
It's a minimal amount that is within the riverfront area.
Okay.
If you look at the site plan, Dave, I mean, it's to me, it's very telling. And I'm in agreement with the rest of the group here. It's pretty.
Yeah. So one would, it could be a -1 determination then, because we could consider it outside, but still give a special condition that they review the planting of the 6 trees with the Concom, and it just, as a recommendation, and that would be it, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to understand what we're saying.
I think it's as far as the RDA filing goes, they just are looking at the trees, correct, Tom? No?
Well, the, well,
Construction of a 16 by 24 addition and mitigation.
Right,
a
but
-3 would address the commission's sort of opinion on whether the addition qualifies for the exemption stated. I mean, it's sort of, it's meant to encompass both components of the project.
Okay. -3 determination then.
Steve,
With a special condition to review the 6 tree planting plan.
okay, is that a motion?
Yeah, I can make a motion to issue a approval of a -3 determination for 151 Central Street with a special condition to review the 6 tree planting plan with the commission or
Okay.
the administration. That's my motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Steve,
Yes.
David S.,
Yes.
Gene,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
David A.,
Yes.
Sam, yes. Okay. Ron, thank you so much for doing this. And I hope he feels well. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ron.
Ron.
You're welcome.
Next is again an RDA, 21 Lewis Farley Drive. Jorge Rivera's proposed removal of 3 trees and mitigation plantings. Okay, lots of tree removals. All right. Is anybody here for it?
Yes, one moment, he's joining.
Solar panel efficiency.
He might be stuck in limbo here. Here he is. Oh, hold on. Here he comes.
Please unmute and introduce yourself. Give us a brief description of your project.
Good evening. Do you want me to show my face or do you prefer not to?
It's totally up to you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm a professor at Framingham State University, and I'm taking notes learning about all the lingo here. I'm voting for Rebecca's 4 and the -3s, and thank God I did not propose any kind of trees because I know that there's a variety of things that you want, so I'll go with each one of whatever you propose. So anyway, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with the commission tonight. I moved not so long ago to Framingham. I'm loving it. I'm doing a lot of improvements to the house, planting trees. I have planted plenty of trees already, and I've done a lot of improvements to the property. One of the things that we're trying to do, that we did, is the solar panels, trying to go with being green, and we're really pro-green environment. And putting in the solar panels, we noticed that we had problems with some of the trees falling, and there's a couple of them. One in particular is very close to the house. Is producing some serious shade, and the group that put up the solar panels made the recommendations of cutting some of the trees. I'm in total agreement of planting and doing the mitigation that the commission proposed. I believe it was 2-1, and I'm also in favor of following advice on type of trees, as long as they are not so close this time to the property. I have done a couple of projects with the commissions where I believe I have showed all the intent of doing anything that you want me to do. I hired specialists for delineating the area, or for a project that I have approved, which I'm not going to do, change of plans. And well, I'm hoping that the information I provided is clear. And if you need any further discussion, I'm here for that. And once again, thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Anything from the commission?
So you want to take these three trees down, and do you have any idea what you want to replace them with at the 2-to-1 ratio?
No, I will actually look for your recommendation for that, because whatever I say, I know David has his favorites and Kevin is very strong about what he wants. So thank God I did not say anything. I teach strategy, so
I have a feeling Becca's
You
going to be on
teach
the spot here.
strategy.
so I think my big mouth did not put me in trouble this
So-
time. So I will follow your advice on that for the different trees. I guess one thing that it could be of satisfaction for everyone if we plant different trees that everyone agrees that will be good and nice and proper. I'm fine with that.
Dom, can you get us a sketch of where the trees are located in the resource areas? Okay.
Which way is south?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I see. I didn't see that. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was muted.
So the color of red or magenta, what is that?
30 foot,
Okay.
50 foot.
Yeah.
I can't write.
No, that's all right.
So as you heard from the other applicants, I think we need, especially if these are within the 30-foot, we'd probably need a certification saying that they're hazardous. So we need some kind of statement. So an evaluation, pretty much, from an arborist, especially the location. So it's within the 30-foot.
Hmm. Yeah.
I guess your goal is to, like, do the solar panels, but again, it's I don't know. What does the commission think?
Are the solar panel, where are the solar panels going again? Where are they going to be located?
On the south side of the house, the one facing the trees, not on the front of the house, in the back.
Okay, so they're going to go on the lawn?
No, no, they're on the roof.
On
They're on the roof, right?
Yeah, they are on the roof. Yeah.
Right. And where's the house in relation to, it seemed like, okay, so that's where I was confused. The trees are
So
not,
where you see the spot on that old roof, which I already changed, that whole horizontal area is the solar panels.
okay. So the trees are causing you what problem? Which
Shade.
Shade. Okay, you
Yeah.
wanna
But
okay.
also there were two trees on the right, one tree on the right hand side that fell off, but it didn't hit the house, thank God. And these three, especially the one that you see on the closest to the house, it's very close, and it has definitely dropped some branches. So it's a little bit of concern besides of the shade.
Okay, so talk to me about like this solar panel efficiency impact that the trees are having. Is it like, a couple hours out of the day where the sun comes up and, that you have shade over your solar panels, or is it like a majority of the time? And what's your opinion on that?
I think there's a report directly from the solar company explaining
Okay. I didn't read that. I apologize.
No, please. do not.
What's it basically tell me? It says, what, in terms of the trees impacting the efficiency of the solar panels, what's it saying?
It says that it does, but I don't have the exact number of how much is the percentage. And I don't really want to mention a number because I will be relying on my memory. So, and I don't want to do that. I might have to retract that number. I believe I remember the number, but I don't want to. I'm not 100% sure. So.
And how long have you had the solar panels there? If you don't mind me asking, like, is it just installed? And you
Just installed.
Just installed, okay. So
Yeah.
the new installation, you're seeing the shade of the trees impacting it. I mean, okay, I'm just trying to understand and appreciate the impact, I guess, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
I think one of the things that I wrote to the commission and again, and probably many of you do not remember this. I had a major project. I hired different consultants, did multiple things to follow everything that I was recommended. Even the architecture of the extension that I was going to be doing had a 120 degrees, especially to kind of follow the flow of the river, not to disturb anything. I went heaven and back because I want to do the things properly.
Right.
That project is not going any longer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it, although it's fully approved. And basically,
Okay.
what I'm trying is to put on the balance everything that the government, everyone is telling us about solar and mitigating the solar and replacing any kind of trees with 2 trees. And I know finding the balance sometimes is difficult.
No, I mean, again,
So-
the reason why I asked Dom to bring that up is the location of the trees. So usually it's a no-touch zone. I mean, you can't do anything within
Right.
30 foot. So you're proposing 3 trees, and that's, I think it's that's where the concern is. Again,
Right.
we know
Right.
I think there's a safety thing too. The one that's closest, if it's dropping branches, I could see that as a concern. Somebody on the back deck there might get hit by a branch, as well as it might actually fall on the house.
So-
if you have wind from the south. But the other ones, they look far enough away that
Yeah.
they're not going to be a problem.
So, Dr. Riveras, would you be opposed to having, an arborist look at those and give you an assessment that you could come back to us and maybe that might solve the problem?
No, not at all. Whatever the commission wants, I'm willing to do.
I mean, again, we can. I mean, with the 30 foot, we are like between the 30 and 50 probably, but within the 30 is going to be challenging. And
Yeah.
your best bet is if you had an evaluation done with an arborist and they recommend that, then I think we
And-
could.
And
Again,
I
helps us.
also mentioned that I will leave the stumps at whatever height you want,
yeah,
etc.
that's after the fact. But you just get us a certification saying that indeed these are hazardous and
Yeah, and also I'm not sure are you really sure it's all 3 and not just one that's causing you the problem? Because that panel's not exactly very large if I'm looking at the size of your roof and
The panel isn't on there.
I
They
thought
are
you
now. He says they are now.
Yeah, they are.
But the picture
Not
doesn't.
in the picture.
Right.
They are now. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
thought you
just,
said that little square in that picture was
Dave-
where the
Dave-
panels
David,
were.
hang on
Oh.
1 second, Steve. Yeah.
yeah, so just a point of information for tree replacement. So if trees are taken down within the 30-foot buffer, can they be replanted in other places on the property?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
because
yeah.
it would seem like any replanting should occur on the east side of the house, which is within the 100-foot, rather than the south or the west.
Got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was what I was asking,
Yep.
but still we need the certification.
Okay. So an arborist. Okay.
All right. And please do consider 1 tree removal versus the 3, if you can.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, should I will anyone be able to recommend an arborist or just try to find?
No, we can't recommend an arborist.
Okay,
but-
good.
Yeah.
The tree companies, just if you call them, ask them if they have a certified arborist, that'd be
Okay.
my suggestion.
Okay, perfect.
All right, Becca.
Yeah, just another option aside from maybe removing the trees entirely would be asking about, some pruning. Maybe they only have to take down one tree, but they could prune the other trees.
Right,
Thank you.
Thank you, Becca, for bringing that up, because I was going to mention that myself.
yeah.
That's something else you can consider because, living around a lot of trees, I can't tell you how many branches come down in my yard. It seems like I'm picking them up every time I cut the grass. So I don't get it, but
Okay,
All right.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the recommendations.
Yeah, and then once you have that, send it to the staff and they'll put you on the agenda and then we'll hear you back. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much,
thank you,
everyone.
Doctor.
you.
Thank
Nice
you
to
very
meet
much.
you.
Have a good night. Thank
Good
you.
night.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is a notice of intent DP file number 1581661 citywide Framingham DPW proposed repairs and improvements to 13 head walls located throughout the city. This has been continued from June 5th, 2024. All right, who's here? Bill? Yeah. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bill McGrath with Beta Group here on behalf of the DPW for the head wall project, which involves repair or replacement of 13 head walls at various locations throughout the city. I'm not sure we have much to present tonight. I think Dominic and Rebecca were able to get out on site and look at the locations. They did have 3 comments, which we responded to this morning. One noted that several of the locations required access across private property or work outside of the city's easement. And the recommendation was to include a condition, excuse me, that DPW provide a signed right of entry or similar documentation from the property owners that they're aware and have given DPW permission to enter their property. That makes a lot of sense. We have no issue with that.
Okay.
I think the second comment was some inconsistencies in labeling Maple Lane versus Maple Street. So we've addressed that as well and sent in a couple of revised plans. And the third condition was at the outfall into Ames Brook at Dudley Road, just confirming that the riprap that we're going to place for scour and erosion protection won't impact flood storage. It'll be placed at or below the existing grade. So we've added a note to the plan to confirm that, and also revised language in the narrative as well. And we submitted those revised documents this morning.
Okay. All right, Dom and Becca, anything else? Or I know you've been waiting to jump into it and do a thorough review. I think you did, and you provided some comments, and they looks like they've addressed. Is that?
Yeah, so I think it's worth giving a little spiel just because it's a bit of an unusual project from a review standpoint. So as you all know, it's a number of small similar projects spread throughout the city, which makes it, particularly difficult to get commissioners out to see them. But I mean, the findings from our site visits at each of the sites was that in large part, the project mostly consists of buffer zone work, existing disturbed, structurally altered areas associated with the previous drainage infrastructure. These improvements will, across the board, minimize further degradation and, at the cost of some small but permanent impacts. It appears that it'll be an improvement across the board. In areas where there are sort of resource area impacts, mostly land underwater or bank associated with the sort of intermittent channels from the existing outfalls. The areas are heavily disturbed as a result of the sort of failing infrastructure that exists, and the sort of permanent impacts in this case are, like I said, it appears that they'll primarily result in long-term benefit to the general areas, which are experiencing combinations of erosion, sedimentation, probably pollutants will be reduced from some of the additional hardening or filtration offered by the riprap outfalls. And one other note would be that sort of like the biggest things that we noticed are usually the sort of small things for other projects. So it's the little conversations that we have at pre-construction site visits. So access, how you're approaching the site from an access standpoint, vegetation disturbance, how you're sort of maneuvering around the site conditions, whether that be high water levels or low water levels. Those kind of conversations we like to have ahead of time. So a very important condition here is obviously pre-construction visits for each site as they arise across the next, projected 3 or 4 years that the permit lasts. And I think a lot of those conversations will be able to sort of serve the commission's interest in minimizing and mitigating the impacts in ways that aren't really conveyable through a permit for a broad scale project like this.
Yep, completely understood. And I think your recommendations for the special conditions are spot on. I think that's the best way to approach this kind of a project. It's multiple small ones, and everyone probably has its own unique things, like you said, the vegetation clearing or access and whatnot. So it's good. All right, I'll go to the commission. Any other questions from the commission? No. If not from the commission, let's see if anybody from the public has any questions, comments on this one. Do not see anything on this one, so I would say there, Dom, can you just lay out the 2 conditions that for the commission and the attendees, please?
Sure. So 2 recommended special conditions would be that pre-construction site visits are held prior to any vegetation disturbance or site work at each site individually, within probably, let's say, a week prior to the initiation of those activities, or thereabout. And then a second condition would be that access documentation, formal access agreements, or other similar documentation is furnished for sites where work is planned to occur outside of existing easements.
Yep.
At the pre-construction site visit for the pertinent sites.
Yep. Sounds good. So those are the 2 conditions. So if the commission doesn't have any other questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Steve,
Oh, go ahead, Steve.
you do it. It's okay. It's okay.
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions with the special conditions noted by Dom for DP file number 1581661.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. David S.
Yes.
David A.
Yes.
Gene.
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Sam. Yes. Thank you, Bill. Have a good night.
But sorry, I'm not sure. There may be some waivers required.
Yeah.
as well. Sorry. I think in the NOI.
Okay.
it noted,
All right, Dom. So you need 30 and 50.
I think, yeah, 30, 50.
That's it, right? So, yeah. So we need to
Sorry.
issue a waiver for the 30 foot. So entertain a motion.
Does that need to be site specific?
Yeah, this
Get 12 sites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All
we can
sites
do a blanket
proposed.
waiver?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll make that motion. We have to do each one separately. Motion
the-
for
each was
waiver of the
separately.
30-foot buffer requirement for all sites.
Yep, so we
I'll
have a
second.
motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. David S.,
Yes.
David A.,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes,
Kevin,
Yes.
Sam, yes. And now for the 50-foot.
same motion for the 50-foot
I'll
for all
second.
sites.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. David A.,
Yes.
David S.,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes,
Jean,
Yes.
Sam, yes. All right, anything else, Bill?
No, thank you very much.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. Have a good night.
Have a good night, Bill.
All right.
All right. Okay, we are close to 8:55. I think we should be okay to open the next hearing. It is DEP file number 1581650. 116 Winter Street, Stephen Campbell, proposed construction of a single-family house and associated site features, including a driveway, utility connections, dry wells, grading and landscaping. This continued from May 15, 2024. If the applicant and their representatives, please introduce yourself, and you could go through the updated material that you submitted. Go
Sure.
on.
This is Arthur Allen from Ecotech, the project wetland scientist and representative. With me here tonight, I believe Chris, Stephen Noble, the applicant, is on. Chris Noble, the applicant. Steve Campbell, the applicant, and Dave Markadont, the engineering consultant on the project, is also with us tonight.
Okay.
This is a continued public hearing, as the commission is aware. At the last hearing, we had discussions regarding the last revision to the project, which consists of a single-family house on a pre-existing lot. House is located, and all the work is located outside the 30-foot. The house is located outside the 50-foot wetland setback, but pretty much the entire lot is within the 200-foot riverfront area associated with Bating Brook. If you'd like, I can share the screen and put up the most recent plan.
Yes, please. Yep.
So,
can you make it larger?
Yeah, zoom in. Yeah.
yep. Let's move you back over here. So I blow this up. So what I'm showing right now is the overlay plan that the engineer provided. So this shows the actual physical revisions that have been made in the plan. Basically, the original proposed house and work limits are in black, and the new proposed are within red. And those revisions shown in red are what's carried into the primary set of plans that shows the currently proposed project. So at this point, we've made actual physical revisions to bring the project below the 10% threshold for riverfront alteration. As you remember, there was some discussion at the last meeting about the previous revisions, which were basically a semantic interpretation of, permanently altered areas versus disturbed areas. We've moved away from that, and we're looking at, we've reduced the project alteration. So, no distinction between temporary or permanent disturbance. We've just reduced we pulled in the limit of work, moved the house closer to the street, reduced some of the elements, or eliminated some of the elements in the plan. And to note too, we've also, we've taken the proposed stormwater dry wells out of the calculation. I guess as you're familiar with the Riverfront Act regulations, that the stormwater improvements are allowed within the riverfront area. So those have been previously included in the calculations, and we've removed them from the calculations. I can let the engineer who designed the plan go through a few more of the specifics. That'd probably be the best thing at this point, and then we can answer questions after that. Dave,
Yeah,
are you?
Art, before you do that, I mean, just could you cite us the Riverfront Act regs related to the stormwater? I'm not too familiar, so I was just curious when you I saw you called out like it's not included, and you just mentioned now. Could you walk us through that?
Yep, let me just pull it up here. So I'll get you the citation.
Yeah, that'll be good to know. So.
So it's 310 CMR 10.58. It's a 10.58 for C. Oh, I'm sorry, for D. For D1.
Not easy.
For D1D. 310 CMR 10.58 4C 4D1D is the citation. That's page 235. Let's see, 234, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, 234 in the regulations. And I can just read it off to you.
Yep, go ahead, please.
Calculation of square footage of alteration, so exclude areas of replication or compensatory flood storage. Calculation also shall exclude area used for structural stormwater management measures.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, if you can go back to the drawing that you had before. I just had one quick question and then I'll let you go.
Sure.
So on the eastern edge, you pulled in the limit of work much closer to the structure. Do you think that's feasible? You could do, or like, what was the rationale before you had the limit of work extend out? Now you think you can get the stuff done with that, it being that close to the structure?
Yeah, let me defer to Mark on those,
Okay.
the design modification, or to Dave on the design modifications. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, go ahead, any one of you.
Hi, this is Dave Marquidant.
Yeah.
From JD Marquidants in Hopkinton.
Okay.
We're the engineer for this project. So to answer that particular question, that's behind the house is a porch on sonotubes. So most of that work can be achieved. You know, it's very, very tight on the right rear corner of the home. It's only 6 feet off the erosion controls, but we feel, Steve Campbell feels that he can construct that porch on sonotubes at that location.
Okay, okay, all right. Yeah, Art, did you, I think that was your presentation, and now did you want to have Dave or Dave?
Yes, maybe I could just fill in the gaps a little bit. So
Okay, good, yep.
As you can see, as Art had stated, the original filing is in black, and the up-to-date modifications highlighted in this overlay are in red. So the existing house, the proposed house, has not changed in size. It's moved exactly 1 foot closer to the road. Elevation of the top of concrete and the garage doors and driveway remain the same. Elevations at the existing curb cut are around a 182.9, and our front door of our garage is at 184.4. So we're very gentle in the front. A small change along the right-hand side. We have our landing. It used to be a 6 foot wide landing. We've made it a 5 foot landing. Staircase down to the walk. We added 1 more step, so we're 7 inches down. Brings the walkway closer to on grade, flatter walkway, very minimal grading. To kind of give you a sense of grading from the street, kind of through the house to the back. Our curb cut is 182.8 again. The middle of our driveway going back away from Winter Street is 184. The front door, garage door is 184.4. Grading along the left is at 184, existing 184.9, which is to remain. The back left-hand corner is 184.2. The back, the staircase along the right is 184. Blending down to 182 with the erosion control. And then behind the porch is 184. So we're right on top of, at this location, right at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
Everything is flat from either 182.9 to 184 to 184 to 182.
Okay.
So very little earthwork, very little grading taking place. Adding the extra step brings the walkway down into to almost match existing grade. We have a dry well, what we call dry well number 2, which is the one furthest away from Winter Street, is for rooftop. We're proposing a catch basin on the right-hand side of the driveway, and that's going to enter into dry well number 1.
Okay.
As you can see, the black limiter work previously has been moved in. I believe it was 34 feet previously on the back behind the house, and is now at 47 feet. We've gained an extra foot to the right rear corner of the house off the wetland, going from 50 to 51. And the halfway through the house used to be, is now at 50.
Okay.
So like Art had said, our offsets are greater than 50. Have moved the house forward, made some changes, flattened the lot out, and our riverfront is at 9.83%.
Right, anything else before I go to the commission for questions?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, all right, let me open it up to the commission with questions. Yep, Steve.
What's the treatment outside the limit to work?
Outside the limit of work is going to remain the same.
Unchanged?
Unchanged.
So one concern I have is the potential for property creep, if you will, into those areas. And I wonder, just as the property changes hands, people are going to try to put lawn back there and on the side, and I wonder if there's any way to restrict that.
I have a suggestion that what we've used in some other towns and areas like this is that we either put a medallion on a tree, or closer to the limit of work, we would put a 4x4 treated post a couple feet high or 3 feet high, depending on vegetation, and attach a medallion to that.
How
And
about
then this-
could you do a CR?
I can't answer that question. Maybe for Steve Campbell. I don't know. Art, do you have any comments on that?
Would probably have to be a deed restriction. I mean, a CR would have to be recorded with the state, and an agency would have to be found to hold the restriction, which is unusual and difficult on a small single house lot like this. So
Okay.
I would think a deed restriction could be done.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Kevin.
Been so long. I'll see. Got my question. The second dry well that's taking the drainage from the that's all the driveway is going to be sloped towards that catch basin?
That's the intent, yes. The left side of the driveway is on the high side of the lot, and most of that driveway should be directed towards that catch basin.
And is there an overflow from the dry well, or is that adequate?
Well, we have kind of a Y that's brought back to the downspout. So when it backs up and fills up, we do not show an overflow, but I would encourage one to, if we could, that would be preferable for both of them.
Yeah.
Would the commission allow that?
I don't know. I've seen underground systems typically to have an overflow. That's why I asked.
Yep.
Yeah, it's better to have the open.
How would that work? What do you typically do with that overflow? Is it just a pipe that goes further into the wetlands and?
Yes.
Yeah, you would, yeah, we're very, very tight on limit of dry well to erosion control. But we could look at putting a small overflow for both of them out, heading towards directly south from those dry wells.
I would be open to that because I see where not doing that leads to other problems. And I don't think that could be harmful. It seems like, you know, if that's something that is a practice that helps alleviate some potential flooding with some of the cloudbursts we have and, you know, heavy, unusual rains, I would be open to that.
Yep. Okay. Kevin?
Oh, sorry. You answered my question about the overflow.
Okay. Anyone else? David S. Sorry.
Yeah, my only comment is I really like the improvements. I like the changes, and I support this plan, and with this overflow, that everything looks appropriate, and we're taking good care of the wetlands.
I'd like to hear from the public if there's any public comment.
Yeah, but before that, Gene, can I ask a few questions?
Absolutely. Of course, you're the boss.
No. All right. All right. Just a couple of things that I jotted down before I go to seek public comment. There was a DEP comment. Can you address that?
Hang on a second. Go back to the DEP comments.
Was it related to?
That was the 10%, because we were working off the 5,000 square feet,
Right.
which is an option in some cases, but DEP you know, because this is not technically a subdivision, DEP was asking us to conform to the 10% riverfront area disturbance, which is kind of the exercise we've been going through for the last couple of
Yep.
months.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Any other comments from the DEP, or was that the only one?
No, that was it.
Okay, all right, I said that. So one thing that I did notice, so with all the you touch base on, like, you know, moving the building footprint, eliminating lots of features. One thing that we lost between that and now, the original filing and now, is the mitigation. Can you talk to us about it? Because I think you were proposing some kind of seed mix or some plantings.
Yeah, and that would have required clearing existing vegetation to do that mitigation area, and we you know, we decided where we're pulling back the work limits, you know, to be outside of that area, and we don't want to disturb that area at all. So we thought it was you know, prudent to just eliminate that work closer to the wetland and leave it natural, basically.
Yep. So one aspect of the riverfront was the 10%. The other one is the alternatives analyses. You did that in the initial filing, which didn't really look at any alternatives. You just kind of said, like, you know, this is what it is. Is it possible? I mean, just the exercise that you went through between the past filing and this one is in itself is an alternative. Is there something that you could be open to providing us a detailed alternatives analysis?
I mean, the lot is very limited, as you can see. I mean, there's only really one location on the lot to site a house. This is essentially a scaled down version of the project that the commission approved in 2004. And I mean, you know, the alternatives, as you say, have really been just tweaking the project to reduce the impacts in that one building footprint that's available. I mean, the other locations are either on a steep slope closer to the wetland or within the wetlands.
Yeah, and I think in the previous hearings, I think one of the commissioners, I forget who, kind of suggested asking for, like, you know, the setbacks for the driveway.
That was me.
Yeah, Gene. I don't think you moved in, or like, did you guys have a chance to look into that?
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead, Gene. Yeah, sorry.
so I recall, you know, requesting them to look at those setbacks and trying to maximize them. It looks like they did pull it towards the front a little bit. I'm not sure on the left side that there was any adjustment there. So can you tell us where are you in relation to the left side setback? What do you have? What's required? How much space, how much margin of error did you give yourselves?
Hi, this is Dave again. Setback on the front is 30 required. We're at 31. We did not move the setback, the house closer to the left. Setback is 10 on the side. We remain at 11. So we have a one foot cushion on the front and the left.
All right. I mean, so, I mean, I understand that dynamic, that's, you know, I think it's somewhat reasonable. I know that you can almost go up to an inch or two as long as you have, you know, shoot that line once your footing's in. When you put your foundation wall, you can probably make up a few inches there. And that's up to all of us to, you know, come to some consensus on what's you know, what's fair.
All right. I think that's it for now from me. So anyone else from the commission before we go to the public? No, then I'll open it up to the public. If you wish to comment on this project, please raise your hand, and Dom is going to get you in. Don't see anyone. All right, I'll come back to the commission and see what do you want to do in terms of any special conditions? Steve, yep.
I might suggest, maybe, and I'm not sure, we'll just talk about this a little bit.
Okay.
I think those setbacks are very important, so I think maybe we could, ask them to maximize those distances from the left and the front, and perhaps to supply a certified, an engineered plan to us when that foundation's installed. As soon as it's installed, well before the house is being framed up, as soon as it's installed, you can give that to the staff.
Okay, that's a special condition. Okay. Steve, let's talk about your concern about future lawn creep, so to say.
Yeah, well, I think this whole process over the last couple of iterations has really been an arithmetic process.
Yeah.
Trying to get below the 10% that's required by the regulations. So I guess the question I would have would be, should we put any kind of special conditions on the project that would ensure that it stays within the 10%? And we've certainly seen plenty of examples where there has been lawn creep into areas. So I don't know what the right answer is. This is a very interesting problem because this is an arithmetic question as opposed to looking any real harm.
Yep. So
I don't know what the answer is.
I mean, we've done the markers. We always have. Again, those markers typically go on our 30 foot, but in this case, we would like to hold their limit of disturbance to kind of limit them to those numbers. So I think we can have it spaced at certain distance.
Could we do it I mean, the purpose of the markers is to inform the occupants.
Yeah.
But beyond that, is it worth doing a deed restriction?
Can we do a deed restriction is the question that I have.
Well, we could ask the property developer to do the deed restriction if we care about it.
No, we can. I mean, I don't know if I don't recall us doing it, but yeah. Yeah. Hold on, Kevin.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think the deed restriction would be important, but also the markers, putting them on a 4x4 post, I don't think that's very permanent. It needs to be something. I know we've done, when I was in Dedham, we did granite markers. Something that's a little more, it's gonna last, it's gonna be there and not rot out.
Yep, I think we can. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Yep. Dom?
I was just gonna say, on previous projects that have had boundary markers or other similar conditions in perpetuity, orders have contained language that say things along the lines of, this restriction shall be referenced in the deed in perpetuity, or this, COC shall be referenced by book and page in the deed in perpetuity. And with that said, I feel like I've also seen instances where an order of conditions has a condition like that, and then the deed doesn't ever actually make reference to the order outside of the general and any encumbrances and whatnot, the typical language. So that's sort of maybe the quick and easy approach, but also we definitely want to see like confirmation of that, maybe with a COC. And it's the type of thing that, as deeds get passed along, sometimes those things can get lost.
Yep.
So
Yep. Okay. All right. David S.
Yeah, I need to understand the Concom's concern regarding this plan, because I think that the engineers have done a good job in taking care of our concerns, you know. So where you're losing me on this is that if they execute as planned, we should be satisfied with this plan. It takes care of the wetlands and all the areas that have been addressing. So I don't understand. We wouldn't issue a certificate of completion or compliance until we know that they met that they followed through on the plan. And what am I missing in our concern?
Okay. Steve, you want to take this, or do you want me to address it?
Why don't you take a shot at it and I'll see how you do.
Okay. So,
Because you're the boss.
oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
It's an open discussion.
No, no,
'cause I
no.
don't
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, David, so there's two things. I mean, implementing the project or doing the project right is one thing, but then what happens after is what we're worried about. So if you look at the red lines, that they're saying, yep, we're holding this and we're not disturbing anything beyond past that.
Right.
We, the commission, are trying to see how that can get implemented 5 years, a year or 2, 5 years, 10 years down the lane, and not like, you know, a new homeowner comes in and puts in a lawn. So that's exactly what we're trying to kind of address it with a special condition or conditions. So
And
it's
we
not
want
right now. It's
so
not
we
right now.
Okay, so 5 years from now, we issue let's say we issue a certificate completion in the near future, and
Right.
they met the requirement of their application, right? In the NOI, we say, yep, we like it. You're saying that years after that, we may be concerned about something happening. Just so
Oh
I
yeah,
understand.
like, you know, have special conditions in perpetuity, like, you know, with
But is it because they don't have enough room? Is it because, I mean, what's different about this plan than anything else? We don't do that for every single one, right?
yeah, but
every
again,
NOI would.
as Steve mentioned, they're playing the numbers game, and they shrunk their limit of disturbance to meet the numbers. So we're trying to hold that in the
Right.
future. Okay.
Right.
Right. I mean, the plan works.
The plan works, right?
Right. But we're trying to eliminate the future enforcement orders.
Yeah, so let me just throw my 2 cents in here. So I've seen people put deed restrictions on and just get completely ignored on other circumstances outside of environmental. They get dismissed, they get overlooked, they get the courts don't even uphold them. And, you know, so that's one thought. And then the same thing, you know, if we're gonna do this, you know, this is, you know, I know this is a kind of an, I don't want to say extreme case, but I get it, it's a unique case, that's for sure. But do we do that to everybody? And we could do that. And even if you do that, people still might have the same problem, which is one of the things I brought up early on, like a couple meetings ago. I says, you know, if we're that concerned about it, why aren't we making a recommendation to the assessor's office that, you know, people who own property that are in wetlands know that when they buy it? Why isn't it on the town records? I think that's one way we could, you know, address these concerns. So people know when they buy that property that they are in an area designated, and that can be on assessor's record, which would require the licensed real estate brokers to disclose it to them. And I think we could, you know, address a much larger issue than, you know, having deed restrictions and costs that it just simply run up the cost of housing. And I don't, you know, we know housing's very expensive. We have currently right now that we're in a state of emergency in Massachusetts for housing, and I'm sure most of you know that.
Yep.
So, you know, I don't want to unnecessarily run up the cost of construction either. So I don't think it's imperative. I understand Steve's concerns, and, you know, he's got passion. That's just my thoughts.
Okay.
Sam, I'm good. I made my point. I think I understand, so I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. All right, Dave, do you want to address the markers?
Yes. I would like to change my suggestion from a post and medallion to perhaps a concrete marker, a concrete bound that's 6 by 6, left up 1 foot high at maybe at least at 3 locations as shown on the plan. One would be the extreme left angle point on our red line, and then the one right behind the right rear corner, and then the one opposite the walkway and stairs as a possible solution.
You know, I think that would get us more bang for our buck. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and Dom, any suggestion on a special condition in perpetuity that you previously had suggested on other projects that we used?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact language ready, but I mean, something to the spirit of what, you know, we can figure out the details, or we can prepare it for a future meeting if desired.
Okay. All right. Yep, Kevin.
I appreciate the concrete markers. Can there be a medallion on that concrete marker? Indicate
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, they can. Yep, right on the top.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else? Do you as a commission feel we could close? Or do you want the applicant to come back with anything outstanding?
I think we can close.
Okay.
I think we can close.
Dom.
One other recommended special condition would be that the final plan of record depicts the bounds, and that can be, you know, before the pre-construction meeting, because that's the type of thing that can easily be forgotten if it's not on the plan set.
Yep, so that'll be a condition, Dom. Yep, okay.
Good idea. Good
All right.
idea.
Okay, if we're good with the conditions and if you're good with closing, I'd entertain a motion. Yep, Dave.
On that same revised plan would show the overflows as well to the dry wells?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay, I entertain a motion.
Your turn, Steve.
Sure. For DEP 1581650, I recommend we close the hearing and issue an order of conditions with the special conditions as discussed.
Wow, it's awesome. That's
particular.
I'll second that one.
We have a motion. Yeah, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Steve?
Yes.
Gene?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
David S.
Yes.
David A.
Yes.
Sam, yes. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. We'll go to the next item on the agenda. We're falling behind a little bit, but not much, which is good. Notice of intent, DEP file number 1581667, 26 Auburn Street extension, Joshua and Sarah Street, completed. Okay, this is the completed site work and alterations to a single-family home and restoration of areas disturbed during construction. This is an after-the-fact permitting. Please go ahead, introduce yourself for the record and get us an update, please.
Yeah, hey there. This is Josh Street again, and I'm the homeowner with my wife, Sarah Street. She's not with me right now, but happy to discuss the plans that were submitted and any questions or thoughts you guys have.
Okay, do you want to go through is Chris going to give us a brief update on the project?
I imagine Chris is here, though.
Yeah, he is. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, to the point of the 67 Circle Drive, I'm scared to look at my bill for this evening. It's probably $500 just for that. So awesome.
All right, good, Chris.
Hi, for the record, Christopher Can from HOS Engineering, project engineer. So just to give you kind of like a full-blown picture of the site.
Can you zoom in a little bit, Chris?
Yep.
Just a little bit.
All the trees kind of mushed together. So Auburn Street extension runs along here. And this is basically 26 Auburn Street extension. We have an existing residential lot to our west, and then we have the Sudbury River, which wraps around the northern and eastern property line. The site has a total area of 59,031 square feet, or 1.36 acres. Of that total, 22,349 or 37.9% of the lot is upland area. So most of it's within the Sudbury River. The site is presently improved with an existing house, which is being renovated. It has basically a front porch in the front, an existing deck with a second floor deck, a small patio, a shed, kind of a canopy tent, and then it has a gravel area along here. If you look to the brown area, that's basically the edge of disturbed area, basically where it was disturbed. And you can see some stockpiles of tree limbs, stone piles, stumps, and also down here, which we have another tree limb pile. So basically, from the Sudbury River, we have a 30-foot no alteration zone. And then we have a 50-foot no build zone, the 100-foot inner riparian zone and wetland buffer zone. And then we have the local 125-foot wetland buffer zone. And then outside of that is the 200-foot riverfront area. So basically the entire site is within the riverfront area. Along with that, we also have a FEMA floodway, which basically kind of strides along adjacent to the Sudbury River. And then we have a FEMA floodplain, which is defined by 154 elevation, which kind of wraps around and kind of basically goes along the 30-foot no alteration zone. With that, we are proposing significant mitigation to revegetate disturbed areas. Basically, we'll be removing the debris piles of the tree limbs, the tree stumps, and log piles from the property. That will be disposed of at approved location, disposal facility, I should say. And then we'll be planting basically trees, shrubs, and then ground cover throughout the site. We also will be basically reconfiguring the driveway so it's better adequate to store vehicles because basically half of their driveway is kind of within the street. So it's very limited room where they can park vehicles on the site. And then basically we'll be also planting or constructing a tree planter box north of the deck. That'll just house garden vegetables and stuff so that they can use and eat when they want to. We are also proposing a fence along the property line. It won't go into the 30-foot no alteration zone. So it'll be outside of that, basically along here, and then continuing down up to here, just to better orient the limits of the property from the street. We are proposing some mitigation within the street where the tree limb pile was. So we are proposing some shrubs, trees, and then basically using New England wildflower seed mix, basically covering that area. And that's in the green hatching, or the light green hatching right here. With that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Right. Go to the commission.
I kind of like it.
Me too.
That's
my
it's
initial,
very innovative, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of new vegetation.
Right, that's my impression. That's exactly what I was thinking, but I don't know what,
It's a difficult parcel to develop, because of the floodplain, and I think they've given it due diligence.
Okay, let me go to Dom for help, Dom or Becca. Dom, can you bring us or jog our memories as to what were some of the things that were done and that we were trying to address? Just so that as we're looking at what is proposed, just want to make sure that we kind of checked off everything.
Right, so the intent of the enforcement order, which was issued requiring this notice of intent filing, was to ensure that the sort of addition and other site work associated with the improvements that were recently constructed without permitting would be, in their entirety in compliance with riverfront area regulations primarily, but also, ensure that they're in compliance with other buffer zones and resource areas, particularly bordering land subject to flooding, based on, using the existing conditions prior to any alterations as a baseline, or prior to the recent alterations rather as a baseline. And yeah, that was pretty much the intent.
I think also, if this was the one I recall, a building permit was issued and it somehow it fell through the cracks, and it perhaps should have got circulated, and there was a mistake at the city hall. Chris, can I just ask real quick while I got the floor? What is the relevance or the significance of the FEMA floodway? I mean, how is that, what, in your opinion, what's the relevancy of that?
So in terms of building in it, or just
Just what, the purpose of it is just identified as that's potential flood area by FEMA. It's just not much different from the 30 and 50 foot that we designate.
So the floodplain is basically the 100-year floodplain. So any proposed work that changes the ground elevation has to be compensated through compensatory flood storage. And that's what basically requires some projects to, they can build in one spot, but then they have to take portion of the ground or the grade around another spot.
Thank you. Okay, I get it. I know he's nowhere near it. I was just curious, but I agree. I think you did a really nice job of laying it out and really showing us what you're doing. It looks very beneficial, and you addressed all the commission's concerns, so I'm pretty happy with it.
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, Dave S.
Yeah, I feel that, we have a homeowner here that has been a victim of something that happened at City Hall, in my opinion. They responded to our enforcement order with spending the appropriate amount of funds to get the right plan in place. I mean, I find it hard for anyone not to be happy with, the additional vegetation and the things that they're doing to bring it back to as close to wetland regulations as they can under from the original site conditions that we keep referencing. I think this is a very good effort by them to come into compliance, and it's hard for me as a commissioner to struggle with this plan and say it's not good enough to meet the requirements. That's where I'm at. Unless someone can convince me otherwise, I mean, you know, of something that they haven't met, I mean, I think this is acceptable.
All right, good to hear. Chris, I do have one question. If you go back to the plan, just
Yep.
pull it up for 1 second. The yeah, and the one before, prior to, like, almost like the existing conditions plan, or yeah, right here. So how did we, or how did you determine, I guess, the brownish area?
So basically our wetland scientist, basically when he's the surveyor too, so it's
Okay.
very
Yep.
beneficial to have him
Yep.
on board.
Agreed. Yep.
So basically he looks at the ground cover and sees what was disturbed and what's basically natural. Kind of what's disturbed is dirt area that's been either moved around or turned up, or looks out of normal.
Okay.
And that's kind of also the extent of the tree piles too. If you kind of see here, this is the tree pile area. So basically extending to that as well.
Okay. So let me go to Joshua. Joshua, again, the concern here is a lost flood storage. So was there any fill brought in any of the, like, whatever projects you were doing?
Other than where around the deck where it says gravel, I brought in 3/4 inch crushed stone. And so that was the extent of what was brought in. Besides that, no soil or fill was brought to the property at all.
Okay. And like, okay. All right. That addresses my concern. Okay. All right.
And the 154 is, which is the floodplain.
Yeah.
It comes along here. It's kind of outside.
Yep.
Yeah, and you guys did a bunch of you came for the walkthrough and saw it's a remarkably flat property. And when you look on the elevation profile, the topo lines, it's all within 154 to 155, pretty much the whole property.
Right.
And that really it hasn't changed at all.
Yeah, that's exactly where the concern is. I mean, given that it's that flat, I mean, any fill that you bring in, it's like robs the flood storage. So, okay, all right. Anything else from the commission?
I thought it was
want to
a
say thank
great
you.
project.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to say thank you to Joshua and Sarah for their response to this.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent.
Can I ask for feedback from you guys in one particular area?
Yes.
So at where the bottom limb pile is, I didn't really do a whole lot of disturbing there, other than I thought my property line was one place and clearly it was a few feet off there. Are you looking to see a lot of planting being done down in that southern portion of the limb pile where it's on the town land? Or is that something that would you rather it be left alone and untouched?
That did cross my mind. I mean, I'm like, well, I mean, that's going beyond the property line. I don't know. I would say probably not. So I would stay within your property limits is my
And I think that's my preference too. Our engineers have done a fantastic job trying to understand what you guys might be looking for. And I figured I'd just pose that question to you guys, because if the scope can be limited and it makes sense for us to do that, I think that I'm fully in support of not disturbing more area than we need to.
Yeah, so here's what happens. I mean, if you do plan on doing stuff, then we need, as city being the owner, we need something to kind of say, yep, we're okay with them doing it. So we don't want to go that route. So and you're not trying to meet some kind of, like, numbers of mitigation. It's not like we're to the 100. So I would say be within your property, and that should be fine. So
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, Chris, I think you may have to revise your plans.
Yeah, we can cut back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over here.
But just so that we have the record drawing that reflects what was approved. So, all right, let me, if we are done with the commission, let me open it up to the public, see if there's anyone that has any comments or questions. All right, I'll go back to the commission and entertain a motion then.
I'll make a motion, if you don't mind, to issue an approval and close the hearing on the notice of intent for 26 Auburn Street with the special condition as addressed to cut back on the wetlands option there that they were going to touch outside of the property line.
Minor tweak, just so.
Sure.
Good. 26 Auburn Street extension, because
Extension, yeah, 26 Auburn Street.
just so we don't want to like give it to
Thank you. I missed that.
All
Yes.
right, no.
And we have a DEP number.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. DEP. What is it? I don't see it on my notes.
158-1667.
There you go. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay.
That's the motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Steve,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
David S,
Yes.
David A,
Yes.
Gene,
Yes.
Sam, yes. Thank you, Joshua. Excellent.
Thank you all very
Thank
much.
you for your
Thank you, Joshua.
cooperation.
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Chris. Good job.
Appreciate everything you
All right.
did.
Have a good night. All right. The next item on the agenda, DEP file number 158-1666, 43 Johnny Bar Circle, Ken Evans. Proposed construction of 2 additions totaling 1,700 square feet, reconfiguration of an existing driveway, minor grading activities and mitigation plantings. Yep, I think it's Brian. Yep, go ahead, introduce yourself and give us a brief description of your project.
Thank you. Brian Nelson from Metro West Engineering. Ken Owens, the project applicant, he also, I think, is waiting. He may be in the waiting room, so
Yep, I got him.
maybe some questions that he may, be able to answer. So if we could promote him. But I'd like to present a notice of intent for 43 Jane Bar Circle. And if it's okay if I share my screen?
Sure.
Okay, should be loading. I think everybody can see that now. So we are DEP file number 158-1666. This is a notice of intent for 43 Jane Bar Circle. This plan, basically, Jane Bar Circle is on the left-hand side of the sheet, running from south to north. Right at the intersection of Jane Bar Circle and Round Top Road comes in right at the bottom left corner of the page. North is going straight up this page. Hot Brook, which is a perennial stream, is located off property to the east. The bank of Hot Brook is shown in cyan here, and I'll zoom in a little bit actually so you can see that a little bit better. Hot Brook is shown here. We've got a little bordering vegetated wetland that runs roughly parallel with the property. Property is kind of wedge shaped. Its frontage along Jane Bar Circle here, bounded on the northerly side and southerly sides by residences. There is a city-owned parcel behind us, and that common boundary is located right here. Property contains about 19,262 square feet. We're in a residence 3 zone or a 20,000 square foot zone. We are here tonight to present a notice of intent for 2 additions to the existing house and some modifications to the driveway. The existing house is shown in brown color, kind of tucked into the southwest corner of the site, shown in brown. It's kind of L-shaped, about 30.6 feet off the sideline of Jane Bar Circle, about 8 or so feet off the southerly boundary line. The existing driveway is shown in black, coming in off of Jane Bar Circle, coming out, and then runs back. We've got a walkway and a patio that connect the driveway to the front door. Topography on the site it's relatively mild, elevation of about 177 at the street, running roughly parallel with the street line. We decreased down to about 170 or so along the rear lot line. So about 70 feet of topographic relief across the site. Existing impervious coverage is just over 2,600 square feet. And our resource areas, we've got a couple. We've got the bank of Hop Brook, which again is shown in cyan. Here, kind of diverges off to the southeast, and then we've got a wetland that kind of continues in a southerly direction. So our 100-foot inner riparian zone basically cuts almost through the middle of the property, heading out this way. 200-foot riverfront basically covers almost the entirety of the property, with the exception of this little triangle, kind of on the westerly side, right along Jane Bar Circle. So, you know, essentially all of the property is located within the riverfront. We've also got 30-foot no disturb, which is shown as the magenta line. So that's off the brook bank and it's off the wetland. Our 50-foot no build just creeps onto the property. This is the boundary line here. So we're onto the property about 10 or 12 feet over on this side. 100-foot wetland buffer basically connects up with the inner riparian zone, and the 125, the local wetland buffer zone, is here. So you can see the existing house is located outside the 100-foot inner riparian, outside the 100-foot wetland buffer zone. Part of the existing house is located within the 125. And what we're here tonight to discuss is two additions to the existing house, and basically modification to the driveway, but a larger addition going on the northerly side. And this is basically tucked up as close to the setback as we can get it. And then we've got a smaller addition with a footprint of about 230 square feet, located just off the southeasterly side. Those additions are shown in pink. Larger one has got a footprint of 1,458 square feet. And then looking at basically just improving the driveway a little bit, just to widen it a little bit. There'll be 2 garage doors facing the street. So this driveway will provide basically access to the 2 garage doors, and then a turnaround for backing out and pulling out onto the street. The proposed impervious area increases to about 4,239. That's an increase of 1,627 square feet. Looking at basically locations for this addition, there's a connectivity obviously essential for the addition to kind of mate up with the existing house. So that drives its location to some degree. And the garage obviously sited as close to the street. But what we've done is we've really pulled this addition as close to the setback and attaching it to the house. So its location is really kind of fixed by that. And what we tried to do, like I said, is pull it as far away from the stream bank as we can. What we're proposing as mitigation basically is a restoration area along the back lot line. And the lot is for the most part, there's a small amount of impervious area for the driveway. We've got kind of a cluster of brush area along the northerly boundary line and a small bit back here, but the majority of the property is presently lawn. And what we're proposing to do is restore and let naturalize an area along the easterly boundary, kind of parallel to the easterly boundary, of approximately 2,400 square feet. What we'll do is plant 6 trees and 30 shrubs in this area and let this area naturalize over time. So the turf lawn goes away and that area basically takes hold as a more natural buffer. There is some encroachment of lawn onto the city property as well. Really seeing that lawn area by virtue of kind of this solid band of restoration is also allowed to naturalize over time. And again, just to kind of reiterate a couple things, that this property was created and the lot was built prior to August 7th, 1996, the promulgation of the Rivers Act. So this lot basically was constructed before the Rivers Act came into effect.
Yeah.
So its evaluation of alternatives is limited to the lot in question. And again, really, we looked at where else could we put this addition in, and by constraints of connecting to the existing house and trying to really keep this addition as far away from the bank as we could. That's really kind of drove the location of the addition. I can leave my screen share up, or I can stop screen share, and with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yep, but so you can leave it up just in case
Okay.
any of the commissioners have like, you don't need to point things out.
Sure.
All right. Let's see who wants to go first. No questions?
What, well, I have a question. What happens in the shrubby area to the rear of the property? It doesn't seem to be replanted in any way. Not having been at this site, I don't know what's happening there.
The green area kind of right here,
Yeah.
really, that's it's more naturalized right now. So the intent was really just to leave that alone and kind of make the two planting areas or restoration areas up to it.
And is the shed going away?
The shed will go away, yes.
I see. Okay.
Right. Brian, you said you're leaving that area to naturalize. Are you planning on putting like any kind of markers or something, or like just
So we certainly can do that. You know, I heard the discussion at prior hearings. You know, my thought on wetland bounds is a little bit different. We can certainly add.
No, but Brian, that's a total different scenario. That's a different issue.
Yeah.
Here, I'm just saying. I mean, if there was an easier way to kind of say, "Yep, don't touch it," or "don't mow it," that's the intent. Just to, if your goal is to leave it naturalized. So.
Yeah, the goal is definitely to leave it naturalized, and basically kind of have that act as the barrier, you know, to separate lawn from the as you get closer to the river and provide a naturalized buffer.
Yeah, which is great idea. I mean,
great idea.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. I just was like, you know, just throwing it out there, trying to see, like, you know, there's a way to let the homeowners know that, like, yeah, stay away from it. So, yeah.
May I? I'm sorry.
I think Ken Owens. Kenneth, you want to unmute? Yeah.
There we go. Hi, I'm Ken Owens, and thank you, Brian. Great job representing us. On the discussion you just had, I just wanted to add commentary. So the reason for this happening is my wife and I, who currently live on Overlook Drive in Framingham, Overlook Drive East, we are moving into this property with our my 89-year-old mother-in-law. That's why this is happening.
Yep.
So I'm going to be the resident in this property. So I just assure the commission, you know, on a personal level, that when we naturalize that and plant, as Brian has put in the drawing, it won't get mowed.
No, that's okay. No.
So hopefully I'm going to live, I'll be alive for another 20 years or so. And by then it'll really, nature will have taken over.
Yep, we hope so too. Yep.
That is the intent.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Yep. Gene?
Actually kind of answered the questions, and that's why I was just curious to, you know, what the additions were going to serve. And we see a lot of accessory dwelling units and that stuff coming out. So you kind of answered my question. Thank you. A very nice plan. I kind of like the plan overall. I like the presentation. It looks very nice, and I think it's a good submission.
Okay. All right. Anyone else from the commission? If not, I'll go to the public. No. Okay. Let me go to the attendees. Anyone here for this project and have any questions? Hearing none, I'll come back. Oh, Rick Gallagher.
You should be able to unmute. Yep, I think you got it.
Yeah, good, Rick. Introduce yourself and state your question.
Hi, Rick Gallagher tonight. I'm the abutter to the north side, 45, and I just want to commend just a great look here, and we welcome the Owens as neighbors.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
All right. Okay, let's bring it back to the commission and entertain a motion. Who did not
Do
get-
we have a DEP number on this one?
Yes,
do.
we do.
Mhm.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we close the hearing and issue an order of conditions for DEP 158-1666, 43 Janibar Circle.
Yep. Okay, we have
I'll
a
second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Gene,
Yes.
David S.,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
David A.,
Yes.
Sam, yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Brian. As always, fantastic job.
Nice
Thank you.
job.
Yep.
Have a good night, everyone. I appreciate your
Yep.
time. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. We can, all right, let's go to the last item on the agenda, DEP file number 158-1665, 299 Dudley Road at Fountain Street, right away, City of Framingham, DPW, proposed roadway repaving, sidewalk replacement, installation of drainage structures, sediment forebay, infiltration basin, outfall, minor utility adjustments and grading. Think Matt Hayes. You can unmute. Yep. Go ahead, introduce yourself and your team and present your project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matthew Hayes, Transportation Director for the City of Framingham. I'm here with environmental partners to present the Dudley Road and Fountain Street intersection improvement project. The project includes a new traffic signal, some realignment of curbing, sidewalk improvements, and drainage improvements, including a retention basin to improve the outfall at Farm Pond. So I will turn it over to Maria to present the project. I think she should be on here.
Yep, she's here. Yep. All right.
Hi, Matt. And thank you to the commission. I am going to share my screen if possible.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's the Transportation Improvement Project, Fountain Street at Dudley Road. So just a little project background and need. The Fountain Street at Dudley Road intersection is sort of what the city wants to become the gateway to the Farm Pond Park area in the Loring Ice Rink. So here's the intersection in question. Here's the Loring Ice Rink, Farm Pond Park, Farm Pond, and then up north, there's also a skate park and a dog park. And then there's a technical high school, athletic fields, and then along Fountain Street, there's private businesses and apartment complexes. So again, the goal of this project is to improve traffic circulation in this area, pedestrian safety, and improve the stormwater infrastructure. So the existing stormwater collection system consists of obviously catch basins, drain manholes. There's a couple existing hydrodynamic separators and a detention pond that's at Loring Ice Rink. And all of this discharges to Farm Pond Park headwall. The catchment area consists of Fountain Street from Winter Street to, there's a bridge over the MBTA tracks, Dudley Road to about 625 feet north of the intersection. And there's a neighborhood to the south of the railroad tracks that is piped all the way over to this outfall. So it's a really big collection area. And recently, the head wall at Farm Pond has collapsed. So there's a lot of scour along that drainage channel. So again, the project will consist of reconstructing the roadway and the intersection. That will include new sidewalk, driveway entrances for some of those businesses, intersection islands that will include plantings, and then traffic signal upgrades, as Matt said. Stormwater improvements include upsizing some of the existing drainage piping. For our stormwater, we are just limited to within the project extents in that intersection and the Farm Pond Park area. So we'll be adding some new catch basins and drain manholes, and then constructing a sediment forebay and infiltration basin, and then reconstructing that head wall and armoring the channel. And the stormwater is designed to promote groundwater recharge, attenuate peak discharges, and provide TSS removal. And then we have a landscape architect on board who is planning for plantings within the right-of-way and in Farm Pond Park. So here's our project plan. So we're sort of doing a mashup of new drainage structures and then adjusting existing, and directing all of our outflow towards the sediment forebay, and then discharging ultimately to Farm Pond via a drainage channel. So our low flows will be going to the sediment forebay, and then since it's such a large collection area, we'll have to discharge some directly. Yeah, we are providing sediment and erosion controls at the limit of work, which would include like a straw wattle and a silt fence, and providing tree protection along the full extent of the project. And then in terms of, stormwater management, sort of talked about this on the last slide, but one of the other items is that we need to provide compensatory flood storage because we are within the FEMA flood zone. So we need to match the existing storage. In this case, we're providing a little bit extra within that drainage ditch area. And then site restoration, the plan is to use low maintenance grass seed mix for most of the area and then sort of armor the sediment forebay with a stronger mix on the sides and bottom. And then there will be, we do have to do some tree clearing for the installation of the sediment forebay and infiltration basin. So we are doing replication at 2:1. And then there's plantings proposed in the other areas of the project. So our resource areas are bank, land underwater bodies and waterways, and work within those areas include installing the head wall, grading and stabilizing the drainage channel. We have no permanent impacts to the bordering vegetated wetlands. Again, we're within the bordering land subject to flooding, zone AE, and that elevation is 158. So all of the work within the drainage channel will be within that. But we have zero net loss of flood storage volume. And then we do have temporary and permanent impacts to the buffer zones, including the 30 and 50 foot buffer zones. So we are requesting a variance for that work. That That's all I have. If you guys have any questions, I'll turn it back over.
All right. Yep, Kevin.
Just overall, I like the intersection design. That's a lot of what I work on. I like that you're completing that shared use path connection because it's really turns into a sidewalk, and it's confusing as a cyclist to come up there. And then the island just creates, that's there today, eliminating that with the bump out is a lot safer. Just for cyclists, not a Conservation Commission comment. You mentioned some water quality inlet, I think, or 2 water quality inlets that are those, did you say those are feeding into this system? So you're going to capture that and treat it before?
Yes, so they're existing upstream within Fountain Street.
And have those water quality inlets been cleaned? Or will they be cleaned as part of this project?
We can talk about that with Matt.
We can certainly clean those. We'll review those and we'll check the maintenance records and make sure they're working efficiently.
Thank you.
All right, David A.
I had a question with your tree plantings at the intersection.
Okay.
You know, are there existing trees today, and are you actually on the sidewalk or next to the sidewalk?
Let me pull up the plan.
It's the green circles on the lower left.
Can you see my
Yeah,
screen?
those ones.
These ones. In this area, we have 2, 3 existing trees. And then these will be planted at the back of sidewalk. So here's the sidewalk. There's like a little overhang.
But it provides shade. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we want.
And then I didn't include in the main presentation, but they are planning to have smaller plantings within the island for visibility.
Nice.
I also have a question about the planting plan since it's
Yep.
up.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Except, can you put it up again?
This one?
Yeah, that one.
Yes.
So it looked like in some cases, particularly on the right side of the landscape plan, the density of the planting seems unsuitable for the species. You got red oaks in there, and it's hard to imagine having all those trees do well together in such a small space. I can see how, from the perspective of a wanting to give a sense of the fullness of the planting scheme, you might want to have a lot of stuff going on in there, but in terms of the concept of the gateway that Matt mentioned, I think if there's a way that you could string out the trees along Dudley in some fashion, I think that would create much more of a gateway.
Okay. I'll definitely have to bring this up with our landscape architect. I know that they did look into planting, I think, within this strip, but there wasn't enough. We didn't have the width to do that.
And I'm
We can
thinking the other
definitely
side of
take
the
a look
street
back.
as well.
So this, on the back of the pathway, it's pretty steep
No,
slopes.
on the other side of Dudley Street,
Over here.
along there, yeah. Seems like that could be a row of trees.
I can talk to them about that. Yeah.
Trees, trees, trees. I wanted to ask a question about the inflow into Farm Pond, and
Yeah.
maybe that was mentioned earlier, but are we currently sending all that water into Farm Pond
Yeah.
off the streets?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there no alternative to that?
So we have very limited space within the park. We maximized infiltration to the extent practicable. But we were also trying to limit further tree clearing because up here you have a handful of other existing trees. So we did the best we could with the space allotted
see.
to us. Because yeah, there is another like walking path kind of through this area. So
Yeah, I was just thinking there have been there's been a lot of talk about future use of farm pond and trying to improve water quality. Having it be used for more boating. And so I was wondering whether there'd be any impacts. It sounds like if we could get the filtration up to speed, that maybe it would be an improvement. I don't know.
This
What-
one definitely is a big improvement
Yeah.
because as Maria pointed out, I mean the existing head walls collapse, so it's and now you have like kind of the sediment forebay and other treatment.
Okay, it's a good thing. You would know.
It's
I just wanted to get that out on the table.
Yeah, I didn't know. I think when you asked the question, I was thinking more like why bring all the flow to this location? And is there some like could you divvy it up? I think it all wants to go down to the low spot, and that's where it all comes.
That's where the pond is.
Yes. So, all right, Gene.
Yeah, so a couple of things real quick. I like the overall presentation. I think it's needed. A lot of attention's needed in that intersection for sure. That I was too concerned about how the water runoff was going to go. I thought there'd be a better plan for that. But a couple things. David texted me. He has to leave, and he had to leave the meeting. He just didn't want to interrupt. And it's getting late too. I may have to leave myself. It's just getting late in the day, any night. So, I like the plan. Hopefully we can wrap this up. If not, maybe we can continue it. I'm not sure.
Can we do a site visit? Continue it and do a site visit?
Okay, let me go to Matney and Matt, are you in any kind of time constraint in having this project approved, or would you take a continuation?
I think we could handle a continuation. We haven't bid the project yet, so we do have a little bit of time. If we continue to the next meeting, that would be
Sure. The next meeting is the 10th, right, Tom? Yep. It's the July 10th. Okay. So, all right. So we can, Steve, do you want to set up a time now or do it offline?
Do it offline.
Okay. All right. So anything else that you'd like to give feedback to the team? Anyone? So there was only one request about having the trees. That, Maria. So that and then the sidewalk. I think that's pretty much it. So and Matt's gonna look
and the maintenance records on or at
that's-
least the water quality.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. All right. With that said, we'll entertain a motion to continue.
I guess, are there any public?
Oh, yep,
comments
yep,
on
yeah.
that?
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. All right. Anyone from the public wish to comment?
Pretty late.
Yeah. You never know. Stephen DiNicola is still here.
Everybody's turning in.
Yep. Okay. All right. He's fine, I guess. All right. Okay. Then let me entertain a motion to continue to July 10th.
I move that we continue to 7 p.m. on July 10th.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Steve?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
David A.
Yes.
Gene?
Yes.
Sam, yes. Okay. We lost David S, but anyway, thank you, Matt and Maria and Eric.
Thank you
good
very much.
night.
You too.
We'll see you on
Thank you.
July 10th. Okay.
Or before for the sidewalk.
Yes.
Yep. Before for the sidewalk. Yes. Yep.
Thank you all.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Commission staff, anything else? If not, well, yep, done.
I think it was mentioned earlier, maybe by Sarkey, but I just wanted to share that the Mass Trails grant, which the commission applied for earlier this year, was officially awarded $100,000
Nice.
for the Carol Getchell boardwalk part of the project. So now between those sort of 3 independent funding sources, between the north end, the south end, we're in the process of getting that out to bid, and hopefully we'll be under construction later this year. So that's
Nice.
something we'll keep you updated, but that's in motion. We got that that was our big last funding source. So hopefully it's gotten us to where we need to be.
Yeah, nice. Congrats. Yep. All right. Okay. Anyone else? If not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? None. We'll take a roll call vote. Steve,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
David A,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Sam, yes. Okay. Becca and Dom, as always, thank you so much. It was, I mean, it went over a little bit, but not too much though. It's
Good job, keeping
pretty
it.
good. Yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Good night, Stephen D. Nicole. Oh, he's gone. All right. All right. All right. Good night, all.